So today's theme or message is love and righteousness. And in the early 70s, a talented young songwriter named Al Green, a crooner, and itinerant preacher too, by the way, very talented soul singer, coined and wrote a tune called Love and Happiness. Now, y'all don't have to get up and start jiggy-booing to us, but I know you know it. Don't act like you don't know the song. You know the song. And in the 70s, you could walk down any street here in this community and you'd hear that music playing, Love and Happiness. And Al was a crooner. Even all the older people fell in love with that song. And some of the church people, you know, who years ago the church people wouldn't let you know that they listened to rhythm and blues. That's true. No, they wouldn't. I mean, they listened to it at home, but they wouldn't let you, the church know that, because that was bad music. The church people even wouldn't let you have, years ago, couldn't have certain magazines on your coffee table. That's right. But they had Love and Happiness. You could hear that everywhere back in those years. And drawing on the dawning of the Sabbath during the 72-hour fast that I was able to do, praise God, the Lord spoke to me about what New York City needs is love and righteousness. And so we're going to see how far that item or slogan will take us in the days to come. And by the way, I realize that everyone is tired. I heard Elder LaFleur say something I've never heard him say. I didn't know he knew those words. He said he was tired. And he was sleeping on the sofa downstairs in the boardroom when I called to get him to do more work. I'd never heard him say that before all the years I've known him. And I realize everybody's tired. I'm tired. But I'm asking you to give me one more week. We have the big week next week with the Middle Passage Forum, or if you will, Town Hall. And after that, we can probably, sometime in July, take a break, because I realize we've got the graduation and we've got some play that's being put together as well. But we'll get through it. We'll make it if you just keep, and I'm going to ask you for one more go around out on the street later on today. But being out on the street rejuvenates me. I'm not sure about you. And going out on the street helps me to, by the way, let me tell you that the verses that we're using today to anchor us, of course, what Elizabeth read in the book of Isaiah, and what Jesus said in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, starting at verse 31 through verse 40, where he calls the sheep to his right hand and blesses them because they were known for housing, feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, clothing the naked, and visiting the prisons and the hospitals. And so they were entered into the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, and were blessed. I'm paraphrasing that segment of scripture. And from this pulpit and from the office of the mayor of the city of New York, we can better improve on feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, clothing the naked, and improving the hospitals and shutting down the prisons. So I wanted to be our anchor verse today. I have been able to visit my past by going back to the street. I perhaps would not have had that opportunity. Sometimes I wonder about the circumstances of my life and about the circumstances of your life and how they are in tandem in many ways. But going out to the street, I'm meeting a lot of people. I met someone who said on the other day that he was the spiritual son of Pastor William O. Gillette, who preached in this church many times, who's long since passed. And I had been wanting to talk to Pastor Gillette, but I was able to speak to his son and speak some words of comfort. I believe in love. I think that blessed his heart to hear that. And many of you perhaps have seen my video clip of my remembering the spirit of my father, Willie Martin Patterson, there on Nostrand Avenue and Fulton Street, where the old chock full of nuts used to be. And I was able to interact with that. I want to also state that in terms of love and righteousness, that the power, or at least to teach us about the power of the heart. And you can close your eyes or put your hands over your eyes if you so choose. But let me say this to you, that anytime you and I interact, or I interact with anyone else for that matter, on a matter of a circumstance of doing something, if it's not in your heart, well, let me start with the positive. If it's in your heart, whatever it is that you're asked to do, you can get it done because it's in your heart. And so that's how I read life. And you can say I'm wrong, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. That if it's in your heart, no matter what it is, no matter how difficult it is, you'd be surprised at the power of the heart. And I'm not talking about your physical pulmonary aorta item, but that can be used as an ideal. But when something is in your heart, nothing is impossible. If it's in your heart to do it. If it's in your heart, nothing will discourage you. Nothing can stop you. No matter how many times you allegedly fail, no matter how many times you are disappointed, no matter how many times you allegedly lose, if it's in your heart, it will not die and will not end until you do it. If it's in your heart to do it. So when someone asks you, or when the Lord asks you to do something, it has to be in your heart to do it. Because if it isn't in your heart, you may give some lip service, but you're not going to do it. And if it isn't in your heart, that, of course, is to you your way an excuse for not doing what's being asked of you. And there's people who are able to read the hearts of people. That something is not in your heart. That's why you're not doing it. That's why you can't do it. If it isn't in your heart, you can't do it. But if it's in your heart, nothing is impossible. So if you want to know what you will be doing over the next few years, or tomorrow even, look into your heart. And whatever's in your heart, it can't be stopped. No devil in hell can stop what's in your heart. So if you want to know who you are, if you want to know what you're capable of, if you want to know where you're going, look in your heart. Don't look at anybody else. Look at what's in your heart. And when you discover what's in your heart, you'll discover the power of love. And somebody made a song about that too. And it's in the power of love that we find both our source and our success. That the source to get things done is not how much money we have in our bank account. It isn't. It never has been. The source to do for what we need to do is always in our heart. And the success of what we do is in our heart. And by the way, this works in a negative way. This is, what's the word I'm looking for? This is not necessarily a religious ideal. It works either way. It works very negative. People with negative things in their hearts can accomplish them because, Al Capone or Willie Sutton, the bank robber, or other gangsters, it's in their heart to do it. And that's why they do it. It's in their heart. If it wasn't in their heart, they wouldn't do it. And so this is not what I'm stating to you while I'm not going anti-religious or anti-Bible. The power of success, if you want to do something, if you want to do it, you can do it if it's in your heart. Now, if it isn't in your heart, then you need to find out, well, then what is in my heart? What is in my heart? And whatever's in your heart, if God's given it to you and it's in your heart, then you have the source to get things done. You have all the money that you need. You have all the success that you're ever going to enjoy if you look within your heart. And of course, it has to be aligned with what's in my heart, may not necessarily be what's in your heart. And in the event that you look in your heart and you haven't seen anything that perhaps is earth-shaking, then you might want to join yourself with someone who has a heart to do something that is successful and earth-shaking, and allow yourself to be inspired by their heart. The Bible says, and perhaps the verse we used last week, and I found it a bit abnormal for this verse to be so popular, and for the idea to work as well as it worked, or to be presented to the world, that God so loved the world that he gave his only son. If you think about that, what the scripture says is that what was in God's heart was love for the world. And the depth of that love was he would give his own son for the purpose of the world. And it's pretty antithetical, if you will, to our ideas of what God would do. I mean, he would give his son. That's how much he loved the world. To get it done, he would give his son. And so we need to be mindful of, and I'm certainly mindful of, and I would want you to be mindful of what's in my heart. Because there's no way that you and I are going to walk together unless you know what's in my heart. You may call me various names, or you may think of me in various ways, if you don't realize that something's in my heart. And if what's in my heart is not something that is agreeable to you, then you're going to probably find me either repelling, or you're going to find me maybe offensive, or you're going to find me whatever it is you find me. But if you look inside of my heart, if you know what's in my heart and you're willing to agree with it, then we got a thing going on. We got a thing going on. We got love and happiness if you know what's in my heart. And what's in my heart is righteousness, obviously. Not only is there love in my heart, but there's righteousness. I don't want to spoil anything and then upset the rest of our venture together. But if you notice, when I'm out on the street and I'm there with strangers, that there's a sense of my love for them. That's why I talk to them. I don't shun anybody. I don't turn anybody away. I don't look down on anybody, no matter how they may be in terms of their wealth or non-wealth, or their poverty, or their dress, or what they look like, because I love them. I love God's people, no matter who they are, rich or poor, black or white. And so it's in my heart. It's not something I put there myself. God put it there. And so love and righteousness is in my heart. That may not be in your heart. And I'm going to say some things in just a few moments. I'm teeing it up now. I'm going to say some things that are probably going to be a little upsetting, unsettling, probably some of the things that you would disagree with. And I'm not so much sure about the crowd that's seated before me, but maybe some of the people that are online might be a little bit unsettling, the things that I'm going to say. But I want to first lay the groundwork by teeing it up and say love and righteousness is in my heart. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I find it not impossible to do the things that I do. I don't get out on the basketball court. I don't do that. I don't even go to the golf course, because it's not in my heart to do that. I have no idea. I have no desire. But what is in my heart is to serve God's people. And it's easy for me to do it. It's very easy. There's no strain. There's no problem with it. I don't get tired. I don't feel no ways tired. And I love the outlaw assignment. I love it. I love this assignment that God's given to me, to preach righteousness. I love it. I mean, I love it. You can hear it in my voice. I cry, righteous. I love it. I love it. That boy's in love. I'm in love with the assignment that God's given to me. And I love the people. I love all God's people. And I want to express that as best I possibly can. Someone coined the song back in the 60s. I'm not sure who it was, but it's very popular. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, That's the only thing that there's just too little of, is love. And then they went on to say, Lord, we don't need another mountain, nor a river, nor a hill to climb, and on and on and on, the things that we already have. We don't need any more there. Everything's fine. What the world needs are what we have too little of, the songwriter wrote, and it became a global hit. It's love. And so the Lord said to me, what New York City needs is love and righteousness. New York City, and y'all can stand up for this one. New York City does not need, if we're talking the mayoral race, New York City does not need another politician.
That's right.
And that's all who's running. Just another politician. They're all politicians. And that's not what New York City needs. But that's who's put their hat in the ring. And that's who made their petitions known. They're politicians. But New York don't need another politician. That's not what New York needs. The other thing is that when I listen to the people that are politicians, that are in the public view now as candidates to be the mayor of the city of New York, we're going to build more houses. New York don't need more houses. New York don't need more houses. There's enough vacant buildings between 59th Street and Battery Park to house half of Tokyo, Beijing. These are office buildings that are just aren't being occupied anymore, large skyscraper buildings that are unoccupied, mainly because a lot of people are working from home. And the economy in many ways have shrank to the point where you don't need that large group of people working in offices. So those buildings are just there. They summoned me down to 26 Federal Plaza the other day, talking about how old the government taxes. Me? Old taxes? So the federal government has this huge building on Federal Plaza. I don't know if y'all ever seen it. And all these offices, I went in there and the whole floor, there was only one person on the floor. All this space, New York don't need more housing. That's not what New York needs. Brad Lando, I'm going to build 500,000 more new houses. New York don't need no politician. We don't need another politician. We don't need more housing. And we need to be clear about that. We got buildings right here in Outlaw that are unoccupied. And so the idea of running on the idea of becoming the mayor because we need more housing is not true. It's a scheme. It's a scam. And not only that, but New York doesn't need more money. Don't need to raise taxes. Don't need more money from the government or from whoever they're going to get it from. We don't need it. There's no need for more taxation upon the people of New York. I think it was William Webster, the author of the dictionary, who made the phrase. It could have been some other judge. I'm back and forth between who actually said this, but the power to tax is the power to destroy. This was back in the 19th century that this statement was made. But New York don't need to increase its taxes. The federal government don't need to increase its taxes, is what they're doing now in Washington, D.C. You can take your seats. I'm going to get you back up in a few moments. I thought I'd give you a breather. New York City does not need more police officers. We're going to put more police on the trains, Governor Hochul. We need more police, 2 policemen for every train to midnight or from midnight to 3. New York doesn't need more police officers, and I'll tell you why. What New York needs is righteousness and truth. That's what New York needs. Now, probably a large number of you have not seen me on television, especially Spectrum New York 1. With all the other candidates, you probably haven't seen me. And haven't seen very much about me or heard very much about me. And as a candidate, maybe you've looked online to see if I'm registered as a candidate. Well, I am. But you've not seen very much publicity about me. And the forum they had the other night at WNBC, the forum of, I think there were 9 Democrats all arguing with one another. But I'm an independent, which is what a large number of New Yorkers are becoming rather than Democrats or Republicans. But I can tell you this, and you take this for what it's worth, and the other candidates can take it. I don't know if they'll listen to me, maybe they will. But New York One is backing Andrew Cuomo. New York One has donated, Spectrum, New York One News, all that stuff they do down there, them people, you know the ones. They have personally donated from their bank account, from New York One's bank account, they've donated $125,000 to Andrew Cuomo. That's right. That's how I'll tell you something. DoorDash, anybody here work for DoorDash? I know Brother Joseph Manning up there in New Hampshire works for DoorDash, Vermont, wherever he's at, Vermont. DoorDash has donated already for the primary to Andrew Cuomo, $1 million is how much they've donated. Now, a whole lot of other people have donated to Andrew Cuomo. All these other people don't know nothing about them, act like they don't exist. So the fix is in for Cuomo. As vile as he is, they don't care. So anybody running against Cuomo, and maybe somebody has a possibility of a chance, that boy with that Muslim name, he need to get a new name because people can't say his name. They don't know anyway. So it's Cuomo. It's what? The big money, the corporate, because the corporations choose the mayors, not the people. I know that. The people ain't got enough sense to choose the mayors or choose their politicians. The corporations choose politicians to protect their interests, their business interests, their own political interest, their taxes, their finances. The people just run around. But Cuomo he's got New York One. I saw him running around to some of the black churches as well. He's got some of the black people, if you will, call them black, promoting him as well. But I want to suggest as one of our policies, in addition to the policies that we already have in place, is that once I become the mayor of the city of New York, I'm going to remove all cell phone charging stations. Y'all stand up. I want you to stand up so this won't knock you down. While I was out there on the street, I noticed something that I didn't know about. Is that there are charging stations by the lampposts, and they've got these signs out by the bus stops where if you want to charge your phone, you can walk up to this station, carry a charger with it, plug it into your phone, and then wait till your phone charges. Phone charges, then move on down the line. And they got a whole lot of information on these information boards. And they got a keyboard there as well. It's doggone, is that expensive for New York City? They have that all over New York. But the point of this is why I want to remove them. First of all, they're expensive. But the other thing is this, is that New Yorkers and Americans in general spend too much time on their phones. You just make it easier for them. This is what I'm going out, my phone's not charged. If your phone ain't charged, you can't use it. They got all these commercials on television. Don't drive and text. Don't text and drive. Don't do drunk and this. But listen, no, stop the use of, stop living on your cell phone and start living one person to another person. Remove all the charging stations. That at least will cut down on the use of phones. Y'all aren't angry yet? People worship their phone. People used to carry a Bible everywhere they went. They'd have a Bible in their pocketbook. They'd have a New Testament. Now it's that phone. You people who are on the phone 24/7 don't realize how much of life you are missing. You walk by people, I see people on the street, they don't even look at people anymore. Get rid of these charging stations. Pull them all out. You want to charge your phone, go home. But the city's not going to pay your phone bill. They used to disconnect you. Now they're paying your phone bill. So remove all these phones, these phones. I'm going to do that. That's right. And the money that is used, whatever's in the budget for these charging stations, which I assume is a whole lot of money, we want to give it to the hospitals and health care. And to make sure people who are living without the appropriate and proper health care can get some additional care that was used for charging phone stations. And also some of the unions that do a good job, hospital workers, probably could use a raise in pay rather than everybody having charging stations. And the police could probably get a little bit more, and I'll talk about them in just a moment. Sanitation department could probably get a little bit more money. But the charging stations need to go. And I'm gonna make sure they go. There's one other thing I think I need to say to y'all, and that is this. I've looked at this carefully. I've lived in New York for 50 years. I've lived in all the boroughs except Staten Island. And I think my assessment is an accurate one, and my survey is spot on. And that is to say, now hold on your spirit, just let me talk. All of the issues that the politicians are running on or running about, 90% of those issues are generated from one group or one class of people, black people. What I mean by that? If you're talking about building houses, who are you referencing? That need houses. Yeah. Don't need houses in Staten Island, I can tell you that. If you're talking about crime in New York City, bringing down crime and stopping this, that, where does that crime, what neighborhoods, and who are those neighborhoods that the participants who commit crime, where do they come from? What neighborhood? Do they come from all over the city equally? No. They come from one neighborhood or from one group. New York City ghettos, black people. So when you talk about housing, or you talk about crime, or you talk about health care and the absence thereof, you're still talking about just one group of people, black people. So I can say this and rally your bones, most of New York City crime and problems comes out of the ghetto. And so when a politician gets up and says we're going to increase the police, that means they're going to put more police in black neighborhoods. They ain't going to put more police up on the east side. That's not what they're going to do. They're saying the black neighborhoods need more police. That's what they're saying. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to say, no, we don't need more police. We need more fathers. We need to get rid of, we need to bring fathers back into the home. And we need more pastors like Pastor Manning. We need men that stand up as men and preach and teach the word of God. Men that are strong men, so that those young boys and young girls will know there's hell to pay if you don't act right. But my survey is New York City's infestation. Go down to the New York City court system. Go to the criminal court system. Who do you see going into the courts in chains? Black people. Now, this is not racist. I'm y'all with your crazy mindset, with your woke, with your Black Lives Matter, with your racial, whatever it is. You think this is just a reality. The problem is with us. And I'm not victimizing us, but it's true. We're our own problem. If we cleaned up the ghettos, the politicians wouldn't know what to talk about. They're not talking about Wall Street. You haven't heard them say Wall Street one time, and they're not going to say it, because that's not the problem, at least as far as the city is concerned. So here's what I want y'all to do. If you can stomach that, if you can realize this, if you got rid of all the black people in New York City, somebody else would have to fill it. The police department would shrink. Somebody else would have to commit the crimes. And I'm not victimizing. I am not beating down. I'm just telling you the truth. So when we realize where the problems are coming from, and that's all the politicians are talking about. The politicians, in essence, watch the next debate or listen to them. Every politician, well, except for maybe when they talk about people like Andrew Cuomo, who was a criminal, who was a thief himself. All right, so that's an exception. I'll put that in the 10% category. But otherwise, we're talking about the black neighborhoods. We're talking about the ghettos. It's what we're talking about. And where the emphasis, so should I get on the debate stage with us? I say, oh, you're talking about black people. More housing, you're talking about black people. Because white folk got housing. In fact, they got $1 million houses. Y'all can take your seats. I'm going to ask New York. I'm going to ask New Yorkers to put me in charge of the New York school system. Yes. I'm going to ask them to put me in charge of the New York school system. Let me run that joint. Now, I'm not asking for something I don't have experience at. I've been running a school system for over 30 years, and a very successful one, by the way. Extremely successful. So I'm going to ask New Yorkers how many students do we have in the New York school system from Staten Island to wherever? Put me in charge of the entire system of schools in New York. And as mayor, I will be. I'll have that kind of authority. Put me in charge of the school system. And when you do that, here's what I'm going to do. When you put me in charge of the school system, I will remove, within 2 years, I make this commitment to New Yorkers, within 2 years, I will remove all metal detectors out of New York City school systems. Within 2 years. It's a shame that at Martin Luther King Jr. High School, you got to go through a metal detector to get into your classroom. A man with such honor. But the students don't care nothing about that honor. They don't care. I don't know if they even know who he is or care. But if you put me in charge of the school system, give me 2 years, and I'll try to do it earlier, students can go to school without having to go through metal detectors. If New Yorkers will put me in charge of New York City school system, all students will have to wear uniforms to school. And parents that can't afford them, I'm not sure what that would be, but if so, then the uniforms can be subsidized, or the monies can be subsidized. All students will wear uniforms. The other thing about putting me in charge of the New York City school system, no sneakers will be allowed in New York City school property. Perhaps maybe in the gym, but with a special pass. You may not realize it, and maybe you don't have the understanding, the integrity, or the will. First of all, the sneaker business, all sneakers are made in China. You may not know that. They're not made in South Carolina. They're not made here in New York. They're made in China. So what are we going to do? To sell sneakers, we got to get some famous person to put their name on the sneaker. And then everybody who has a low self-esteem, especially boys, who have a low self-esteem, will go and buy a sneaker with some other famous man's name on it. I ran into a person the other week out on the street who, I don't know who he was. He was arguing with me about something. I don't know what he does. But somebody said he gives away sneakers up in the Bronx. Smart Chinese people understand something. Call one person to the side, give them money, and let them give away sneakers. That person is not giving away sneakers because he's got millions of dollars. He's giving away sneakers because he has a Chinese connection to the manufacturers of the sneakers. So you give away sneakers, you give away some, and then sell some. So we have to understand the industry of ignorance. That is to say, that the reason why China is the only place that makes sneakers, first of all, because here in America we don't have the industry of manufacturing or the ability or the laborers to do it. But you got to find a way to promote it. So you got to find some basketball star, some rapper, or somebody else, put their name on it, and then you can sell it. Give the rapper or give the basketball star some money. Everybody be running around talking about I'm drinking somebody's liquor or I'm wearing, but that's all China business. It's all business. It's just business. And what we have to realize is that we're making Beijing and China rich, but we're lowering our own standards. We've got to recognize where's this coming from. And once somebody with a famous name can put their name on a sneaker, then they can ask for $200 for a pair of sneakers. I mean, where's that money coming from to buy these sneakers? Going to China. And Trump's tariffs, by the way. So what we have to realize is that we have been indoctrinated as a people. We're the only one that wear them. Well, I see now some of these lower class Japheth people are wearing them as well. But everywhere you look, we got them on our feet. We got China on our feet. And the money we're sending to China and talking about we're wearing the popular shoe dress. No, get yourself a pair of wingtips. Get yourself a pair of cap toes and put some leather on your feet. When I become the mayor of the city of New York, you won't be able to wear them inside the school. Now you can wear them outside, that's your business on the street. But it isn't because I'm trying to stop you from having fun. I'm trying to stop you from sending billions of dollars from the ghetto to China. It's worse than the drug trade. Now everybody talk about fentanyl and the drugs that are coming across the border. Well, what about the sneakers that's coming across the border? And it's draining our families of money. Boy sitting there mad with his daddy because his daddy won't give him the $200 to buy the sneakers. Fight, won't go to school because he can't buy the $200. I don't know how much those sneakers cost. Understand they're very expensive. The other day, I think it was a Saturday morning or something like that, we were out there in the vehicle waiting for the dawn, waiting for the morning to open up. There's a sneaker store on 125th Street between 7th and Frederick Douglass. And young boys were lined up, waiting for the store to open. I said, what? They were lined up, rather than lined up going to a university or going to a Broadway play. They're lined up to buy sneakers and pushing one another, trying to get to the front to buy $200 sneakers. This is a madness. This is a sickness. This is an indoctrination of ignorance that need to be wiped from the minds of us as people. And I'm going to do it. I'm going at your culture. You're your own problem. And not that New York City doesn't have other problems other places. I didn't say that. But you do the survey. I have Columbia University challenge me. Have Columbia University challenge me, or New York University, or any other schools. Where does the crime come from? Where are the houses needed? Where are the greatest health problems? Where is the greatest poverty? Where's it coming from? It's coming from the ghettos. And I didn't create it. I'm trying to clean it up. And so we need to understand that New York City problems of crime, unemployment, housing, homelessness comes from the ghetto and the ghetto schools. We can starve the system, the prison, city services, and the poverty pimps and the poverty politicians by not participating. It takes us a couple of years to clean up, take a couple of years to get our minds straight. A lot of people, because of these things I say, and because of their rank ignorance, are sending their sons to prison. See, I can stop your son from going to prison. I can. I can stop your son and you from needing all the city services. Constantly going from one city service office to the next, asking for financial help from the city or from the federal. We can stop all of that. But you got to listen to me. And you got to hear what I'm saying. You got to understand who the poverty pimps are and who the poverty politicians are. So, as I stated earlier, rather than, y'all excuse me for a second, rather than having more police officers, we need to have more fathers in the homes. And have more fathers in homes, we can get rid of the prison department. Several years ago, there used to be a hamburger place right up the street here between 124th and 125th named Jimbo's. And Jimbo's had several stores. Jimbo's had one on I think on Amsterdam Avenue and 125th Street, 145th Street. So Jimbo's was a hamburger joint run by Latinos that come up, many of them from Colombia, many of them that come from the triangle down there with Guatemala and the South, Salvador, and Nicaragua. And they put this hamburger place called Jimbo's. And so, this is going back 20, 25 years ago. So Jimbo's hamburger, they were big, they were thick, they were juicy. And Jimbo's, there's a Korean place on 125th Street that also during that time used to sell collard greens and fried chicken. I said, well, this don't beat it all. Here I'm going into a woman who can't speak English. She's from Korea, and she's frying fried chicken and collard greens. What happened to our stores? What? Anyway, so I went to Jimbo's. Elizabeth and I used to eat Jimbo's all the time. They're good, big old, if you will, French fries. So I was sitting at the table eating Jimbo's. I took a bite out of the hamburger, and I felt something in my mouth other than the hamburger meat. So I regurgitated the meat, and I looked inside the meat, and I pulled, looked like a little string that was black, and I pulled it. It kept getting longer and longer and longer. I pulled a long black hair out of the hamburger meat. That was it with me and Jimbo's. I threw the hamburger away. I made a commitment I'll never go to Jimbo's again. They're closed now. But the idea of me eating somebody's hair, years ago when we had a different grade system, we had a different understanding about our lives. If you worked in a restaurant, you had to wear a hat. A white hat had to be on your noggin so that your hair would not fall into the food. Because hair has a tendency of breaking off without you knowing it, and because it's so thin, you don't always see it fall in the soup. So they used to make you wear hats. I don't necessarily see that very much anymore. People wearing hats, everybody just. So I stopped eating at Jimbo's. So what I want to say is this, is that if you go to McDonald's and there's a young girl back there with braids all the way down to her butt, frying that hamburger, are we also eating some of that hair, braids? Does she know if some of the hair falls? If she swings around and the hair just swings from one, does it swing on the frying pan? Do we know? Do we know whether or not when she shakes her head like that, that hair falls? Do we know? At these fast food places or wherever young girls who wear these braids in their hair, if they work in a hospital, does it fall into the medicine? If they work any place, does it fall on the desk? This stuff that they have in their hair, and Lord have mercy, I saw one woman the other day, that's thing all the way down to her knees. And so I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to eat food with people who potentially could drop their hair in my food. And so I want to say to the women that wear, and again, this only comes from one neighborhood, comes from the ghetto. These braids come from the ghetto. That you ought to stop doing that. You ought to stop wearing those braids. And let me tell you, sisters, y'all are beautiful without all that hair. Mr. Engineer, I asked you to get a picture of Taylor Swift and a couple other young artists that I don't necessarily know their names. These are who that? Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift, Olivia Rodrigo, right? Y'all know them? Anybody know them? That's them, right? Now I think that's what the women that wear braids are trying to accomplish. Is that right? They're trying to accomplish colored hair, right? They're trying to accomplish long hair that swings around back and forth when you swing. Is that what they're trying to accomplish? I mean, what's the purpose of the braid? And these are very popular young women, right? Now I asked Jet Pilot to do a makeover of these three women with another hairstyle. Mr. Engineer, do we have that hairstyle? Do we have that? Don't laugh. To some degree, they don't look so bad. We have a self-loathing of how God made us. If you don't know what the word loathing means, it's a fancy, decorated word for self-hatred. We don't like what God gave us. We don't like the hair that God gave us. So we're wearing wild mule's hair, we're wearing bull's hair, we're wearing horse's hair because we don't like our own hair. Put those three women back up there, Mr. Engineer. Now they're not going to put on an Afro wig, I can tell you that right now, because they don't envy your hair. Those three women think that their hair is beautiful, and there ain't no way they're going to wear an Afro. But you will put on their hair and you will color your hair because you are ashamed of your own, and it needs to be said. It is not popular. It's because you want to look like them. You're not satisfied with what God gave you. The other thing, as I said before, they don't look quite so bad in that. We have got to recognize that there's a self-loathing. And it isn't just that we put the braids in our hair because we want to shake our head and our hair goes back and forth like that. If you don't have long hair, shake what you got. And maybe shaking ain't what we ought to be doing. in terms of our hair. If God gave you something, be proud of what God gave to you. The other thing we're doing is that we're saying to white people, we want to be like y'all. We want hair like y'all. We want long hair like y'all. We're saying to white people, we don't like ourselves. Then why the hell we expect them to like us if we don't like ourselves? Now you have to admit, y'all stand up. You got to be righteous enough to admit that. There ain't no way I would put a blonde wig on my head like Donald Trump. There ain't no way I'd put that. There ain't no way I'd do that. There ain't no way. Whatever I got, if I'm bald-headed, let me be bald-headed, but I ain't putting on a Donald Trump wig. I ain't going to do it. Because no one is taking the time to tell us, don't do that, daughters. You're beautiful just the way you are. You are so beautiful. I think one of the examples that we've got, maybe God sent Genesis here to show us how beautiful we are with short hair. I don't want to get intimate with a woman who has long fake hair on her body and then got what else is fake? I'm going to tell you something. Y'all can hate me, don't vote for me. Listen, let me tell you something. Let's say something. Let's get something straight here. I don't have to be the mayor of New York City. I don't have to be that. But if I'm going to be the mayor, I'm going to be James David Manning, a preacher of righteousness and truth. I'm going to tell it like it is if I be the mayor. I'm not. I don't have to be. Understand something? I don't have to be the mayor of New York City. But if I do, I'm going to help people. Y'all can get an attitude, and you ought to be ashamed of yourselves for ever putting that stuff in your hair in the first place. Let me tell you something. I come from a generation that you don't know nothing about. I come from the Nadinola generation. You're Nadinola? I'll tell you what Nadinola is. Nadinola was a bleach cream that black people who had dark skin were ashamed of the fact that they were black. So this pharmacist got together and put together a cream that you could rub on your face and it would take the pigmentation out of your face and leave you yellow. And everywhere you look back in the 50s and 60s, black women were passing for white or trying to pass for white by putting that Nadinola on their faces. Finally, they had enough damn sense to stop. This is madness. Love the color of the skin that God gave. So look it up, Google it. Nadinola. Black women ashamed of their skin color. And then stop there. I didn't stop there. Go back to the early days of the Temptations. Chuck Jackson, all the rest of them, James Brown. Go back to the early days of them, and every last one of them went to a concholine place. And they put concholine in their hair, and the man would press it like he was pressing a woman's hair. And James Brown looked like a woman in drag. Because black men were ashamed of their hair. Hell, I know what I'm talking about. You ain't got enough damn sense to know how stupid you look with that stuff in your hair. Finally, black men got enough sense to realize I'm going to process myself for Al Sharpton. He ain't learned yet. He's still concholine way back when. You see, my friends, I'm not just picking on y'all young people think you're smart. Put all that long hair, you're braiding it, paying $300 to get your hair braided. You don't know nothing about nothing. The Nadinola days, the hair process days, the concholine days. It's all had its root in the fact that black people were ashamed of how God made them. They were ashamed of their blackness. They were ashamed of their hair. I become the mayor of the city of New York. I'm going to put it on blast. I don't know what I can do. But I'm going to put it on blast that you hate yourself. That's why you wear that. You're not proud of what God gave you as hair, women. And I tell the world that. And I'll promote it in such a way as that you realize It's not good for business. You come into my place and you got all that hair. Oh, Lord have mercy. We go on the street today. You'll be amazed at what you're gonna see. All different colors, all different lengths. It just simply said, we are ashamed of being black. We want to be white. White people got the best hair. White people got long hair. We want long hair, even if it's fake. We'll take a horse's hair. We're ashamed of our hair. That's all it says. That's all it said, because it don't make you more beautiful. I can tell you that right now. It don't make you more beautiful. In fact, it makes you look worse. So I think we're going to be the man to sit in New York. Take your seats. Take your seats. We need to start where the problems lie. The problem lie in the ghettos. New York City has a ghetto problem. That's right. That's where the crime comes from. That's where the politicians talk about building houses. They're not talking about building houses on the east side or the west side. They're talking about building houses in the ghetto. We got a problem. And we don't acknowledge it. We don't want to hear about it. You can't talk to us. We got a problem. It is ignorance beyond belief. Black men and black women, morally, you're unfit. You've allowed yourself to descend into the pit of hell and ugliness. We got a problem. It needs to be healed. It needs to be solved. It needs to be addressed. Because we weren't always like this. So really, the mayor of New York City only has to deal with black folk. If you really look at the whole issue, we're not going out to Wall Street. Every politician running for mayor right now talks about housing, health care. That Muslim boy talking about he want to give New Yorkers a free ride on the buses. There ain't no free ride. Imagine this. You can just get on the bus anytime you want to go to sleep. That's going to create problems for the people who are trying to get to work, trying to get home. You got free riders, you got free loaders. There ain't no free ride and there ain't no free lunch. He's lying to you. Plus, you put the bus driver's life in jeopardy. But you got those kind of people getting on, don't need nothing to get on there. The bus driver's life is in jeopardy. Get rid of him. But let me not leave this hair business. Oh, here's one more thing. Y'all stand up for this, I'm going to be through. Here's one more thing. I don't know where this got started. I don't have any idea. All I know is that one day I was walking down the street and I saw a boy with his pants down over here, right here. His pants, he walking like that. So I said, oh, tell the boy his pants is falling down. I said, no, Pastor, that's the style these days. What? The style? Your pants down and you got, what are you advertising underwear? What are you selling? What's that? What is? No, Pastor, that's the style. So everywhere you look, our young boys are walking down there. Their pants down. I mean, think about this for a second. Who and what in the hell of an environment of people would develop something and make that stylish? Who would do something like that? You got to be the most ignorant, immoral, ungodly to begin to appreciate walking around with your pants down. First of all, it's uncomfortable. I mean, I have a problem just keeping my pants up. How can a people be so blatantly ignorant? Ignorant to develop that as a style. But that's what's going on in our neighborhoods. And the so-called senior leaders approve of it. We got a problem, Houston. And the mayor of the city of New York, that's all they talk about is how our problems. They're not talking about the problems of the east side. They're not. They're not talking about the problems of Battery Park. They're not. They're talking about problems. Every last candidate is simply talking about the ignorance, the foolishness, the violence, the crime that comes, and poverty that comes out of the black neighborhoods. And that's what they're running on. They said we need to contain these black people because they ain't got no houses. We got to build houses for them. They ain't got enough sense to build their own damn house. They're sick as all outdoors. We got to get them some kind of health care because they ain't got. You got to get programmed because they can't pay the damn rent. They ain't got enough money. They can't hold a job longer than 2 minutes, longer they can hold a thought in their head. So we got to subsidize the housing. Got to buy their food for them. Then they make babies like the manufacturing tennises or sneakers in Beijing. They can make a baby, and every 3 months they're making a baby that they can't pay for. We got to take care of their babies. And on it goes. There's one other thing too. Now I'm going to let y'all go. Is that, well, I'll come back to the landlord and the land gods later. That is another issue that doesn't necessarily, that's in the ghetto, but they live outside the ghetto. We live in a matriarchal society, matriarchal. Patriarchal means the father. A father society, I said society is led by men or fathers. A matriarchal society is led by women. You see, 90% of the homes in our community are headed by women. That's bad news. 90% of the homes not only are headed by women, but 90% of the homes in black people's communities are led by the ministration cloth. Ministration, that's what women do. Men don't lead our homes. Boys grow up watching their mothers ministrate. They don't see their fathers. And if he does show up, it's only temporarily or they see him in jail. And we've accepted that. And at one point in time, there was a cry, there was a scream that went forward that we need to get the fathers back in the homes. Somebody lied and said that the welfare department said to the woman, if you chase your husband out, we'll give you money, but if he stays there, we can't. That's a lie. That didn't happen. It's a lie. It's a civil rights lie. It's a Conkaling lie. It's a Nadnola lie. It's a horsehair lie. It's a lie. It's not true. But over the last decade or so, last generation, I should say, women have become comfortable at spreading their ministration over men. By that I mean women have become comfortable by not listening to what a man says. Women have become comfortable by telling the man, well, he doesn't have money. He doesn't own the apartment. His name ain't on the lease. He doesn't have a key. He doesn't have a good job. His job is not solid. So women are now have reached the point where they've grown a pair of balls rather than administration crow. No, they have. Women look at me and say, ain't no way I let that man talk to me like that. Put her hands on her hip. And she ain't right about what she said, but she's right that my authority, she ain't letting my authority in her life. You can forget about that. But it ain't just me. Any pastor who stands up in a church and tries to exert authority over women is going to find himself even getting voted out or find his pews empty, because women are not going to listen to a man who's in authority. They're not going to do it. It ain't going to happen. So we got young boys who don't know a damn thing about nothing except ministration cloth and a mama with balls. They don't know nothing. And you try to reach them, you try to teach them, you try to talk to them. They reject me because they feel that the balls that their mama has is greater than the truth and righteousness I speak. It's a sad and a sick world which we're living in. And they're growing up, young girls and boys are growing up never knowing what it is to have a father, to have a man of strength and give direction in their life. They don't know what it is. How can they fit into the workplace? They're not going to make it. The only place they're ready for after the first couple of years out of high school is the prisons. They're not ready for the employment. They're not ready for the business. They're not ready for taking orders from a boss. They're only ready for the prisons, and that's where they're going. Mama raised me to go to prison. So check this out. Unless we can get out there and start talking to these women about their refusal to submit to the authority of God and His Word, Now, I'm not giving men any excuses, but they don't run our ghettos. Our ghettos don't have men in it. Our homes don't have men. And it takes two. It takes a mother and a father. That's why this school is so successful. So Bowman and everybody else and Bennett and, Marjorie Butler, they're all smart. Yeah, that's true. Dr. Hartfield running the joint. But it's the fact that there's a man in this pulpit and sitting up in that office in this building who has authority and don't take tea for the fever. That's why that school is successful, because there's a man that's running it. His name is James Manning. These women, your mama, she can not like me all she wants. Wait till you end up in prison and see who she gonna call now. Because that's where you're going. Wait till you end up, you're 40 years old and you still don't have a decent job. You can't hold a job. You ain't got no damn sense. Nobody who has a business want an unruly person working for them. You need to know when a man says, pick up this box and take it over there, to pick the damn box up and take it over there. Yes. You can't hold a job. You're going to live at home with your mama. She's going to have to pay for your food. You're 40 years old and still can't hold a job because you never had a man to tell you what to do. So if I become the mayor of the city of New York, we need a moral and a spiritual revolution. But we need to focus on the fact, we need to tell all these other white Japheth candidates, y'all are the ones talking, your policies are just for black people. Don't you have some policies about white people? Hey, what's your white people policy? You gonna build houses for white people? No, they don't have a white people policy. So I have more to say. I've said till I took it out up here today. We can do this. I will enact legislation as the mayor of the city of New York. Anyone who walks around with his pants down will be given a misdemeanor charge with a maximum sentence of 6 months, second time. You walk around and you get caught by the police with your pants down, he'll write you out a ticket. You got to go to court. Mama got to come too. Daddy got to come. The court. Why? Because you had your pants down. Indecent exposure. The second charge, you get 6 months on Rikers Island. Third charge, it goes on your record. So when you apply for a job or go to college, you'll see you were arrested for having your pants down. The people that be laughing. Arrested for having his pants. This must be a fool. We don't want them in our school. I will enact legislation of indecent exposure. I will enact legislation that you can't have braids if you work in a hospital. You're standing there trying to give the patient an IV and your hair is dropping in their mouth. They can't breathe, their eyes are open, they're chewing on your hair. Don't know what happened to them. You can't have braids and false hair, horse hair in the hospital. Horse hair don't belong in the hospital. Horse hair don't belong in the restaurants. Horse hair don't belong in the schools. Horse hair don't belong in the, horse hair belong on the horse's ass. That's where it belongs. Don't belong on your head. So, you don't like it? Then I don't have to be your mayor. But I'm going to be anyway. And Lord have mercy. You talking about a revolution. Amen. All right, so I guess that's it. I got to take my seat. Where's some of that purple race tea? Anybody got that? Oh, get set. Come up here, Genesis, with your beautiful self. Come on up here. Come on up here. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. See how beautiful she is? Look at that, ain't she beautiful? You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? You are so beautiful to me. Go sit down. Well, listen. If I don't make it as mayor, I'm going into the singing business. How's that? All right, now listen, everybody. It's time for the tithe and the offering. Now, listen, I'll tell you. The reason why you don't give to this church is because it ain't in your heart. You ain't fooling Pastor Manny. You can talk about your this problem heart, that you're having hardships. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. You're lying. Stop lying. Stop that lying to Pastor Manny. It ain't in your heart. It ain't what you want to do. The tithe and the offering. That's what's due. God says he'll bless you if you do it. Well, that's what's required of you. To give to this ministry. Support the work of what we have to do. And the other item, of course, is that we need people who, if you can give something today towards the Manning for Mayor campaign, in addition to your tithes, because we're running short on the funding we need for the next Saturday. By the way, we're going to, at 8 o'clock in the morning, next Saturday morning, we're going to go out and set up the banister, the banner, and all that stuff we're setting up. Then we'll come back here for worship at 11. Then we'll go back out there at 2 o'clock. Amen. So everybody that's going to be a part of the process, it'll be 8 o'clock in the morning. We meet here and we're going over to 125th Street. But listen, if you can give something today to the Manning, not your tithes and offering, that's due. You got to do that. But let's say you have something beside you. Let's say you want to give something to Manning for Mayor, just because you know we need the funding. You know we do. Then give it and God will bless you. If you help me become mayor, I'm going to be a good mayor. If you help me, but I need your finances. I told you New York 1 gave Andrew Cuomo $125,000. They ain't all they're going to give him. They just gave him that start off. See how he's going to act. DoorDash gave Andrew Cuomo $1 million. $1 million. And the other thing is this, is that something happened. I was really praying for this. I was so glad this happened. Lord have mercy. Keith Wright, who's the chief nigger. Keith Wright is he's the chief political nigger in town, Keith Wright. He's Cut 'em Loose Bruce's son. He's the chief nigger. And so the other day, he's in charge of all the Democrats, all the black people, all these poverty pimp politicians, all that just heard me preach about. He's the chief. So the other day, we were up on 131st Street. He came out of the train station, and Sabbath tried to hand him a card. He looked at Sabbath and said, if that man become the mayor of the city of New York, I'll give you $10,000. And Sabbath said, well, get your checkbook out. I said, no, I won't take his check. But the thing of it is that he really believes I might be the next mayor. And if I'm going to be the next mayor, then if he really wanted to show his enthusiasm, he said, I'll give you $1 million, not 10,000. But here's the deal, and here's what we need to understand. Black politicians don't like me. They never have. Keith Wright has campaigned, led a march against us with the gay people. 300 gay people stood out in front of this church, led by Keith Wright, the chief nigger, protest against this church. You remember when it happened? All these other Negro politicians, city councilmen, they don't listen, they want to stay as far away from me as they possibly can because I speak the truth. They are hustlers, and we're in the problems, having the problems of poverty and brokenness and imprisonment we're having now because of them. Yeah. Help me. Help me, because they ain't going to help me. And I don't want that help. No, I'm not buying whatever they're selling. I'm not joining their party, their wokeness, their Black Lives Matter, their racial central theory, whatever it is, I'm not joining it. Righteousness is what I'm going to preach. So help me. Help me. Give something today. Everybody do something different. Amen. I'm a good man. Don't throw me away. You're not going to get another man like me. I'm a good man. You're not going to get another one like me. They don't make them like me anymore. Give. Send a gift from your heart. Say, Pastor Manning, it's in my heart. Whatever you give today, Manning for mayor, it's in your heart. Or you can give in the tithe. Say, this is what's in my heart for this ministry. This is what's in my heart for you, Pastor Manning. This is what's in my heart. That's why I'm giving this amount. It's in my heart. And if you don't give anything, then we know ain't nothing in your heart. Amen? Praise the Lord. Where's that juice at? Is it coming? The elders reminded me that if you're going to give the Manning for Mayor campaign, you need to go to the website to do that, to get that done, right? Go to the website, and but your tithes and offering you can do right here on the. But everybody gives something. Nobody walks out without giving something. Thank you very much. Praise the Lord. Brona, you in the house? Yeah, you've been absent. All the men been working and you've been absent. What's up? 8 o'clock tomorrow, next Saturday morning, and we need you out on the street handing out flyers. All right? All right. Praise the Lord. All right, everybody online giving, you know what to do. Go to the website for Manning for Mayor. Do something. Let me tell you something, people on the website, online. Send me down to City Hall. Put me over the New York City school system. Send me down to City Hall, and I'll take homeless men off the street. You give a gift, Pastor Manning can take homeless, he can cure homelessness. I can wipe out the problems and the crime in the middle of Texas in the New York City school system. Send me down to City Hall. Give something on the Manning for Mayor website to do it now. Praise God. Welcome, everybody, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I am your host, James David, Trusting in the Lord Manning. Of course, you've heard me say this 1,000 times, so one more time won't bother you, I'm sure, that we have been trusting in the Lord, and it got us through some very difficult times. I suppose you really can't appreciate the Bible, the prophets of the Bible, the writings of the scriptures, the servants of the Lord, unless you can understand what makes the Bible an interesting book and what makes the prophets and servants is that they go through some extraordinary circumstances based on the kingdom of this world, Satan's kingdom, and whatever powers he has. Now, he's not omnipotent. Satan's not omnipotent. He's not, that means he's power. He's not omniscient. That means he knows everything. He's not omnipresent. That means he's everywhere at all the time. Only God is that. Only God is that. What Satan does have is lies, and he does have temptation, as I believe, so eloquently explained a couple of days ago. But for the past 18 years, the Lord has brought me through some very difficult situations. And I want to reflect upon them because now I got through them by trusting in the Lord, reading Proverbs chapter 3, verses 1 through 12. My son, forget not my law. Bind it about thy neck, write it upon the tables of thine heart. Thou shalt find favor and good understanding with man and with God. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not to thine own understanding, and all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. And now the Lord has brought me to a period of now waiting on the Lord as I asked the Lord. I asked him, and I was about to make a decision, and he told me not to choose door number 1 or door number 2, but to wait. And I did. And I wanted to theologically try to discuss with those of you who want to go to school with me on this one, which is more difficult, trusting in the Lord or waiting on the Lord. Hast thou not heard, hast thou not known that the everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, is neither weary nor faint. There is no searching of his understanding. And he gives power to those that are faint, and to them that have no might, he increases their strength. Even the young men shall utterly fall, and even the young men shall utterly get weak and faint. but they that, and the young men shall utterly fall, but they that wait upon the Lord, and the youth shall utterly fall, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, they shall mount up with wings as eagles, they shall run and not get weary. So which is difficult? Yesterday I had the opportunity of going back out to visiting my life 50 years ago, visiting my life in the year 1965, 1966, 1967, 1968, 1970, 71, those years. I had the opportunity to revisit my life, and just a small portion of it, a portion of my life where I stopped and decided to leave the corporate world and go into, I didn't go directly into crime. As I explained on yesterday while I was out on Fulton Street and Schenectady Avenue, that I didn't go directly into crime. I went to driving a gypsy cab, and the old-fashioned edition of Uber or Lyft. Ultimately, I ended up in crime. And then I visited the space where I met with my father, Willie Martin Patterson, at the Chock-full of Nuts, and where we had some coffee. I think I had some orange juice, and I may have had some tea. I wasn't really into drinking beverages of that sort, but Chock-full of Nuts was a place I knew I could afford. They had sandwiches there. They had tuna sandwiches. I think they had tuna sandwiches. And so I met with him, and I realized that I had been in that spirit, that he had been in that place, that area just in front of where they have a Jamaican beef patty place there now. And I thought it was phenomenal that, and it caused me to look carefully at where my life has gone, the past 18 years, the past 40 years as a pastor, and to look carefully at where I'm at and et cetera. But I do know that the last 18 years of my life, and I don't want to get into, apologizing and repenting again. I've done that. I can't do it enough, but I'm not in the mindset of doing it right now. But the past 18 years have been a tumultuous time. And I got through it, death threats. I got through it when most people in Africa hated me. I got through it when I stood up and was given public speaking ability against one of the world's most famous and well-known persons at the time. Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, was one of the world's most famous persons at the time, that I opposed him, that I declared several things about. One, that he wasn't black, the other, he wasn't the president, and and the death threats came. And I suppose what I'm trying to say, or what I'm saying, is that it was by trusting in the Lord, not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring. One of the things that you have to do to trust God is that the devil will usually tell you what he can do to you. He'll tell you he can kill you, and he can. He'll tell you he can rob you, and he will. He'll tell you he can destroy you, and he oftentimes has that ability. He'll tell you all those things. And when we look at the plurality, and I'm not trying to get fancy on you, but we look at the plurality of our lives, the devil usually lays out a roadmap of what he's going to do, what he can do, what our position calls for right now. And he balls it all up into one conditional thing and try to make us afraid. The devil tells us he can kill us. The devil tells us he can make us sick. The devil tells us he can rob us. And all those things, though they haven't necessarily happened to us yet, the fear of them is like it happening to us already. Even though the devil didn't kill us, the devil didn't do whatever else he said he was going to do. But when we fear that, the fear of it is just like it happening to us. Once the devil tells us what he's going to do to us and we fear it, it's like it's happening to us, even though it hasn't happened to us yet, but it's just like it's happening to it because we fear it. The counter to that, of course, as I've learned, and I want to teach you, and I believe that I have, is that we have to just trust the Lord. We have to just trust him. And oftentimes, the Lord does not necessarily tell us how he's going to bring us out. The Lord doesn't tell us how he's going to bring us out. The Lord sent me, I should say often, but there are times when he does. More recently, the Lord showed me that I was in a major chess game with some of the best chess players on the planet. And I decimated them on the chessboard. And so we have these existences in our life, whether we either fear what's going to happen to us, and then the thing that we feared, Job said, comes upon us, or we trust what God can do for us, and the trust in God makes the things that Job says, the thing I have feared has come upon me. In other words, fear is a sort of faith, as someone said, it's fear actually acting in reality. But trusting, so you can either fear and what will happen to you because you fear it, or you can trust, and what you trust will happen to you because you trust it. Am I making myself clear so far? I have to tell you as well that there's been a bit of a shift in my mode of teaching recently, in case you're wondering, since I've been out on the street. When I went out on the street for 3 days, I spent 3 days out there on the street. And when I came back, and actually just before I went out there, there's been a little bit mode of shift in my teaching. For instance, I was saying in one of my lessons recently that I used to do long public prayers. I mean, I could stand in the pulpit and pray for half an hour. I could, and it'd be all prayer. And about 18, 20 years ago, I dropped that, and more specifically, maybe 14, 15 years ago, the Lord told me to go into my closet and pray. And that making long prayers in public, and not that you can't pray. Don't get around to run around and say, Pastor Manning says, don't pray from the pulpit, don't pray for people, don't anoint people. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that the Lord brought me to a different significance. And so now I go into the closet and I pray. And I went out in the street, and I'm trying to explain that my teaching potentially could be a little bit different than what it was before, that going out on the street has elevated me, I believe. Those 3 days of fasting and prayer out there on the street has elevated me. And I started with my mayoral campaign at the area that's most urgent. Well, I said I was going, when I become the mayor of the city of New York, I'm going to enact a legislation that'll be a misdemeanor to walk around with your pants down below your butt. Oh, that's going to get a lot of young people, and I could potentially enact legislation that the extreme mixing of inhuman hair with human hair on women could be a health hazard. See, Pastor Man, you done it now. Boy, you done it now. You done it now. Because what we have, if you do you mind if I share these things with you? I'm going to be the next mayor of the city of New York. I've told everybody that I've been the last 4 or 5 months. But a large part of the problems in New York City, of course, homelessness is a major issue. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to cure it. And God will show me how. The Lord will show me how to provide housing. But the area of my being a spiritual mayor, right? And for it to be a misdemeanor to walk with your pants down below your buttocks, showing your underwear, that would be a misdemeanor. And it will show up on your record when you apply for a job, go to college, or apply for a credit. It will show up on you. And you could actually spend a year in jail for having your pants down below your buttocks. Now, that might be okay with some people and might not create as much of a ruckus as perhaps some of the other things that I'm going to say, such as, and I find these things very concerning, that too many of our young women are wearing inhuman hair on their bodies, on their backsides, and I am not sure that that's safe. I'm not sure that it is healthy. I'm not sure that it is wise. I'm not sure that it is culturally what we ought to be doing. So you say, well, Pastor Manning, how's that got to do anything with Mayor campaign? Because we need to. The problem with our society today is that there's so many things that we're immorally doing. That we are immorally doing. And in fact, someone gave an estimate of how much money is spent on inhuman hair. And it's in the millions and millions of dollars that go out of our neighborhoods. And we spend a ton of the money. So those are some issues, Pastor Man, that you should stay out of people's business, stay out of their personal lives. I'm going to be a spiritual leader. I'm going to talk about the issues I think are important. And it's our mindset that get us to where we are. Certainly homelessness is a major issue. The major issue of people having to sleep on the street, that should not be. How did we get to the point where you've got nearly 500,000 people, according to the Coalition for the Homeless, and that's statistics that they gave in February of this year, that are homeless, that don't have a key in their pocket, that don't have toilet paper, that they haven't bought a roll of toilet paper. And I would go on, as the mayor of the city of New York, I would go on public address system, on the news, one of maybe news channels, and say, how many people in New York have not purchased a roll that's over the age of, let's say, over the age of 18, that has not purchased a roll of toilet paper in the last year. And you'd be surprised at the number of people who would raise their hand. Something as basic as purchasing toilet paper, they haven't done it because everywhere they use the toilet, it's always someone else's toilet and always someone else's toilet paper. You say, well, Pastor, man, that's getting a bit personal, don't you think? And it's embarrassing. We need to understand the depths of homelessness, not just the fact that people don't have a roof over their head, they don't have toilet paper either. And what that does, that begins to degenerate the intellectual, the social, and the spiritual morality of people. And so many people who you might see in New York now that are walking around talking to themselves or pushing people in front of trains or doing things that generally mean that they've lost their mental acuity, that they're psychologically, they need to be arrested and put in Rikers Island. That didn't start when they were born. That got started when they started losing basic touch with life, such as buying toilet paper, having a key to in a building that they live in, having a window that they can look out of. There are people who don't have a window personally that they can look out of. If they looked out a window, it's some other window. And in the places where they stay, there are no windows. And you say, well, Pastor Man, how's that important? It's important. Well, let me put it to you this way. Have you ever heard any other person who's trying to solve the problem of homelessness address these issues? No, you haven't. But these are the issues that lead to sometimes, if you will, mental problem, mental acuity, psychological problems, and people who then their mental establishment, mental stability begins to deteriorate. When you look at the fact that young boys wear their pants down below but what's the mental cause of that? What brings that sort of mentality? As opposed to wearing a blazer and a pair of gray pants. What's the mental? And so we began to look at it. How does that lead to shootings in the street? How does that lead to young boys shooting one another? How does that lead to young boys not making women pregnant and not caring for their children? How does wearing your pants down below your buttocks, which is totally inhuman, these are the kinds of things that the mayor needs to be talking about. In addition to, we're talking about budget, we're talking about the budget crisis, we can talk about what needs to happen, and how we need to spend, how much money we need to spend on transit, how much we need to spend on police. I'm of the mindset that these two issues, and please listen to Pastor Man very carefully and pray about it before you get an attitude. I believe that with our young people and older people as well, in terms of the amount of inhuman hair that is purchased and that is worn, that can contribute to other social problems and can lead to other social problems. I I believe that wearing your pants down below your buttocks can lead to other antisocial problems. I believe that I've seen women with inhuman hair that must weigh at least 5 or 6 pounds. There's so much of it that can't be healthy in terms of your posture, how you turn your head, which way you turn your. I don't know how they sleep with that. If they sleep with it at all, maybe they take it out. But I understand the braiding process puts it there on a permanent basis. And then they like to put, sometimes they, after they have 5 to 10 pounds of inhuman hair on their bodies. That's inhuman. That's, first of all, inhuman to your spinal cord. It's inhuman to maybe the way you can see, or the way you turn your neck, or maybe it's inhuman to the way that your brain cells work. It's inhuman. It's just inhuman. And then, of course, then people like to put, plastic bobs or little trinkets on it to even decorate it even more. That's inhuman. And it may affect your spiritual ability. It may affect, and so I declare that today will probably cause a lot of people to reject me as mayor, because he said, well, Pastor Man, but I'm going at a problem that specifically affects just one group of people, and that's Hamites. Is that right? The other people don't do that. So that needs to be cleaned up. Why is it other people don't? Why? Well, you say, well, because they have longer hair, and I don't know, maybe, whatever the situation, but it may affect our spiritual. What about pulling your pants down? What about pulling your pants down and walking around the street with your pants down? That usually affects the. So I would be going at a particular group of people. But and it could lead to homelessness. It could be why the homelessness. I believe that a large portion of the reason why there is homelessness is because men are not men anymore. They're not strong anymore, and most of the people that you see are homeless. And the women that you see living in shelters, they're in shelters because they got children and they've been abandoned by some weak man. And all that needs to be addressed. And I've got 40 years of experience of it. So I'm going to ask you to send me to City Hall. Send me to City Hall. Yeah, I'll take care of the economics. I'll take care of the budget. I'll take care of fighting with the governor, and I'll take care of the taxes, and I'll deal with ICE and everything else as well. By the way, there's a growing anger on the streets that needs to be contained, and I'm not sure that everybody realizes. I've been out there on the street. There's a growing anger. I guess you say, Pastor Man, you're just dealing with Hamites right now. Talking about long hair and pants down below their buttocks. There's a growing anger out there on the street about the immigrants and about their being given what appears to be preferential treatment over what has been the normal treatment, that they're given better housing than the homeless people. For instance, a lot of the immigrants were put up in the Roosevelt Hotel, a swanky hotel at one time it was. Millions of dollars given to them and a stipend given to them to be able to buy clothing. And the people on the street, the homeless people, are looking at that. There's a growing resentment. And then the people who are not homeless, but of the Hamite persuasion, who are connected to the Hamites, who are homeless, there's a growing resentment to that. That needs to be cured. And I can cure that as well. So you got this festering anger. Are y'all following me so far? So now that I've told you that waiting on the Lord got me through some of the most, trusting in the Lord got me through some of the most tumultuous times I think that a life could have. And now I'm waiting on the Lord, and I believe the waiting situation can be even more, if you will, imposing. If you feel what's going to happen to you, it's going to happen to you. If you trust what's going to happen to you, it's going to happen to you. Let me say this to you. I'm going to ask you to send me to City Hall. New York City Hall. We need to get some pictures of City Hall and Gracie Mansion, where the mayor lives and where he at. I'm going to ask you to send me to City Hall. And let me ask you this. If you, and no matter what city, whether you live in Lansing, Michigan, or whether you live in Salem, Oregon, or whether you live in San Diego, California, or whether you live in San Antonio, Texas, or Little Rock, Arkansas, or Paducah, Kentucky, it doesn't matter where you live, you can send me to City Hall in New York. You can send me to City Hall in New York. I'm going to ask you to send me there. And the way I want you to do it, I want you to go to manningformayor.com. I want you to go there, manningformayor.com. And I want you to make a donation. I want you to make a donation at manningformayor.com. And at least $10, right? At least a $10. Now you can give $100. You can give actually the maximum that anyone can give. That will allow, no matter where you live, except if you live in the U.S., no matter where you live, you can give $2,100. That is the maximum that you can give, $2,100. But you can start with $10, or you can give $50. Do you have a bank card? Right? Do you have a bank card, a debit card, or a credit card even? Then I'm going to ask you to do something. If you believe that it needs to be pointed out that there are people who have not purchased a roll of toilet paper in over a year, that is a problem within itself. That anybody who has not done that for themselves in the period of a year, that they're going to sink deeper and deeper into depression. They're going to sink deeper and deeper into homelessness and helplessness. That a person who doesn't have a key, they don't have a key in their pocket. They don't have a key to a door in their pocket, and they haven't had one. That fellow I was talking to the other day hasn't had one in 6 years. That's going to cause them to sink deeper and deeper into a sense of irresponsibility, a sense of weakness, a sense of powerlessness, which can then begin to breed crime. We've had incidents here in the Harlem area where homeless people have pushed other people in front of trains. The homeless man just walk up and push someone in front of a train. We've had homeless men set other people on fire. Just a normal nurse going to work in a normal uniform, and a homeless man would just take something and pour it on and set it on fire. That these problems come from being detached from humanity, not buying toilet paper, not shopping in a grocery store, not having a key. Being detached from humanity causes weakness of the mind. The mental acuity deteriorates. So, if you believe, and I'm sure that you do, pardon me, and that in addition, in cooperation with men wearing, or boys wearing their pants down below their underwear, showing their buttocks, has contributed to the fact that they are lowering their standards. They live lewd lives. You can forget about them getting A's in their grades or on their test scores or applying to go to college or looking to have a deal. Anyone who thinks that that is a fashionable way of life has lost contact with reality, and that it needs to be addressed. And you've never really heard anybody fully address it, mainly because it's with the Hamite generation, or Hamite population, I should say. If you believe that someone should address these young men, tell them to pull their pants up, if you believe, you should say to the beautiful young women, sweetheart, you're beautiful. You don't need all of that extra inhuman hair on your body. You don't know what it could be synthetic. You don't need that extra inhuman hair. And the weight of it could be, at least when a woman, I will make the exception for women who want to wear a wig hat. I would say that you don't have to if you don't have very much hair. If you only got just a quarter of an inch of hair, just let that be that. But if you want, I will give exceptions. But the long braids and all the way down to your knees, to your back of your knees, all on your hair, and painted all different kinds of colors. Are those colors, are the chemicals in those colors healthy? Is it healthy for that kind of weight to be on your neck constantly? Is it healthy to sleep like that? And shouldn't somebody try to help these people who've gotten into this pattern of doing things that's unhealthy, that could lead to homelessness, that could lead to mental destabilization? I'm going to ask you. Now, I'm going to deal with homelessness, but we got to look at what gets us there. I'm going to ask you to go to Manning for mayor. Put it back up, Mr. Engineer. I'm going to ask you to go to Manning for mayor. And you can start with $10. You say, well, okay. Well, Mr. Engineer, could you bring up the song, the video of the that we took of the men with their pants down below their buttocks, with the people sleeping on the street, where Minister Holnaker gives us the vocals to that. If you could just give me, I just want the video. I don't want the vocals. I just want the videos. I'm going to show you something, and then I'm going to ask you to give $10, so at least 10. Maybe some of you'll give 50, and maybe everybody here. If you have a bank card, if you have a debit card, right? I'm going to ask you to do something today, and I'm going to show you what I see on the street and what I slept with going back a couple of days ago, and what I see every day, and what I can cure. I believe I can cure this. Now, if you look at that. If you look at that video there, if you look at that picture there, that's me praying. To your immediate right, there's a man with a gray shirt sleeping, and he's leaning up against a steel pole. To your immediate left, right next to me right there, is a man with a jacket on, leaning across the steel pole. And if you look in the center where that white sheet is, there's a man sleeping on the sidewalk up against the wall. That's a common experience. That's a common experience in New York City, in the wealthiest city on planet Earth. That's a common experience. And no politicians has been able to, Barack Hussein Obama, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, could you roll it back, Mr. Engineer, to where we were just a second ago? No politician, including Obama, the most recently passed Charles Rangel, David Dinkins, Eric Adams, Black Lives Matter, none of those people have been able to solve this problem. They have not been able to solve it. And the reason why, and I want to share this, the reason why they haven't solved it is because they don't care. They don't want to. It's not in their heart. Here's something I want to share with you. You can get this for free. You don't have to donate for this. You can get this for free. That if there's something in your heart, neither hell nor high water or wild horses or roaring lions can stop it if it's in your heart. Did you know? If you got the word of God in your heart, there is nothing outside in the universe, including the explosion of a hydrogen bomb, that's stronger than what's in your heart. The reason why homelessness is pervasive in New York City, Los Angeles, and the other thing is it's mainly pervasive in Democrat neighborhoods, or cities or towns that are mainly run by black people. In cities or towns across America where there are, and I'm not saying Republicans are better, but in this regard, in Republican domains, you don't see this amount of homelessness or poverty, mainly because there's a different criteria. But so let it roll, mister. Just let it roll so I'll pick up on it. So if there's something in your heart, and it's in my heart, I went out there and slept on the street with men because it's in my heart, and I can do it. But I need you. See, this man's sleeping on the street right here, 2 blocks from where I now sit. 2 blocks on 125th Street where I now sit. This man on the street, I can get him off that street, and he'll never go back there, and his sons will never go back there. His daughters will never go back there. I can get him off, but I need your help. All these men sleeping are sitting on the bench. They're all broken. They're disheveled. I can heal that. I can heal that. But I need you to help me. I need you to go to manningformayor.com and make a donation. Look at these men on drugs. Pause that, Mr. Engineer. On yesterday, I went to Fulton Street and Schenectady Avenue out in Brooklyn, New York. And I explained to our students I resisted taking heroin. But when I saw this back in 1970 something, I got out of my car and I left my job in corporate America. When I saw this, look at these men. I can heal this. I can heal this. Would you give $10 to see this man, to help me get this man? Would you give me $20? I can get both of these men. With your $20 gift, I can get both of these men, I can straighten their lives out. They're on drugs. Both of them, they're on drugs. You give me $20. Go to Manning for Mayor, and $20 to get these men. I will have then the power. I will then have the power, the pulpit, and the ability at City Hall. You say, well, Pastor Manning, what about your pulpit there at the church? I have that as well, and I have used it. I have gotten literally thousands of men off of homelessness, off of the streets, united their families, sent them off to college. I just want to do a bigger and a greater and a better job from the church and from the pulpit. Let it roll a little bit further, Mr. Engineer, because we're going to see a man also down the street with his buttocks showing. But give me $10 for each one. Go to Manning for Mayor. You have a debit card. You have a bank card. Give me Manning for what? How do we get there so quick? That's all right. We have the men that remember the man that had his buttocks showing. Where is he at? He's somewhere in the mix. All right, this is, okay, these men are sleeping. What's that? There he is right there. Pause it right there, Mr. Engineer. See that? $10, I can get this man off the street. The best investment you can make. You can make a $50 investment. You can make a $100 investment. Because there are others just like him on every block here in the Harlem area, the Otlaw area. There's others, a whole lot. For $100, I can get 10 of them off the street. Go to Manning for Mayor. Go to Manning for Mayor and help this. This is some mother's son. I don't know where she's at now, and I don't know if she knows her son is in this position. And your son might be in this position, or your son might be in a similar kind of a position. I think there was another young man as well, and Mr. Engineer, that was in, but I can get this man off the street. I can take this man off the street. I know how to talk to him. I just need the financial resources to be able to get it done, and I need you to help me. I need you. You can go to manningformayor.com. It's our website, manningformayor.com, and make a donation. You can start with $10. You can give $20. You can give $50. You can give $100. You can give $200. And for every $10 you give, I can get these men off the street. For every $10 you give, this is another man right now. This is live. This is a man pushing his cart. He's probably collecting bottles or cans or whatever that you see going south on Lenox Avenue. But I commit to you, for every $10 you give, I can get a man off the street. For every $10 you give. Now, the coalition of this is a young boy sleeping on the street. It's a young boy. Look how young he is, his face. I can get him off the street. I can walk up to him. I'm here in the community. I spent 3 days on the street sleeping myself. For every $10 you give, I can get a man off the street. For every $100 you give, I can get 10 men off the street. And for every gift you give, I can address some issues that need to be addressed. I don't hate the young men who wear baggy pants and wear their pants down below their buttocks. I don't hate them, God forbid. You know I don't hate them. But it's indecent. And there's something wrong with their mental stability, their mental outlook on life, if they walk down the street with their pants down below their buttocks. there needs to be a strong man, a strong father like Pastor Manning. He's a strong father. I'm a strong man with strength, with a lot of strength, to walk up to these men, these young boys, and say, son, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up. And to these young women that carry these this inhuman hair on their bodies, and I'm sure you've seen it, that someone needs to be able to walk up to them and say to them that you need to let your natural beauty come through. Let your natural beauty and powers come through. I sent out, so for every $10, you can hold me accountable. One was said to me yesterday, said, I'm going to vote for you, Pastor Man, and you're going to become the mayor, and you do something I don't like, I'm coming down there and City Hall to get you. I said, well, come on. But I said, but you don't have to come because I ain't going to do nothing you ain't going to like. I'm going to be a righteous mayor. They said, do you do the right thing? I said, no, I'm going to do the righteous thing. But for every $10, you give, I can get a man off the street. For every $10 you give, I can get a man off the. For every $10 you give, I can get these young boys to pull their pants up. Not just in New York City, because when I start this in New York City, it's going to spread like wildfire to other cities as well. And it's going to be on television. I'm going to be on the news. I'll be on CNN and all of that. For every $10 you give, I can get these young men to pull their pants up. Now, in my next segment, I'm going to be talking about getting the guns off the street, getting these young boys and older men with guns in my neck, but I'm going to have to do that in the Manning Report to get these guns off the street. But I want to talk to you now. I want you to take out your debit card. I want you to go to manningformayor.com. Go to manningformayor.com. And I can help heal a homeless man. I can heal the homelessness. I don't know if you saw me talking to Silver the other day. I was sitting there on the Adam Clayton Powell Jr. platform, and I don't know if we have the footage of that, Mr. Engineer. I was talking to Silver, and I looked like I was homeless. I did. I was sitting there, and someone else was beside us. I was talking. I looked like I was homeless, and I was for that time being. And but I can heal homelessness. I can heal the fact that something has happened to our young people. That's me. That's me and Silver, right? Silver's been homeless now for 6 years. That's him. Don't we both look homeless? Don't we both look homeless? Yeah. So listen to me. I can heal the problems that happen to the Hamite community. Nah, this is not racist. And you say, Pastor Manning, what about the Japheth people? I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to deal with that in the Manning Report about the guns. But listen to me. For your $10 worth, and some of you can give more. Something happened to us 50, 60 years ago. Something happened to us that will cause our young boys to wear their pants below their buttocks. What happened to us? Well, I know. I came through that era. I explained it to our young people yesterday on Fulton and Schenectady Street. And I'll show you some photos of that a little bit later on. Something desperate happened to us. Something desperate happened to us when we started putting horse hair or inhuman hair on our bodies. It's not right. What did we lose? How did we lose that? How do we get to that point? What happened to our humanity that we have done these disgraceful things? Pants below our buttocks. This inhuman hair on our heads. It's inhuman. What happened to us? Well, I know. It needs to be addressed. You can say, well, Pastor Manning, what about the budget? What about transportation? What about building affordable housing and all of that? Well, I'm going to get to that, but can I do one thing at a time right now? What I'm asking you to do is to give $10. Go to Manning for Mayor, and I can take a man off the street. Go to Manning for mayor, and I can teach a homeless man how to get a job. Go to Manning for mayor, and I can teach a homeless man, a hungry man, how to fish. Give $10. I need the financials. I need the financial help to do it. I just need, in order to be able to do that, I get it done, I need financial help. And I believe the Lord is going to use the office of mayor and use me in the office of mayor and give me that pushback power. Right now, there's a whole lot of pushback against my strength. There's a lot of group of people out there that don't want me to have publicity because, and mainly the LGBTQ group, they got the power, they got the media, they got the money. And then there's the pension those Negroes. They too walk by these people as if they don't exist. And so they're the ones I need the financial resources to, and I need the office of the mayor to make them pay attention and make them and push back against their fighting against our church. I need you to go to Manning for mayor, and I'll have for $10 I can get these young boys for every $10 you give, I'll have a young boy pull his pants up and put on a belt, and he'll never walk like that again. I had a cousin. His name was Coot. His name was James Alton McNeil, and we called him Coot. He was raised by his surrogate parents, John T. McNeil and his wife. They raised him. He died the first year I came to New York, and I didn't go to his funeral. I regret that. I don't know why I didn't go. I could have left New York and went back. I don't know why I didn't go. We were tighter than two peas in a pod as far as friends are concerned. James Alton McNeil. He died all of a sudden. He's 18, 19 years old when he died, and I didn't go to his funeral. I don't know what. But his father told him, John T. McNeil told him, a man is not fully dressed till he put on his belt. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. Some of y'all from down in the South country, something like Sister Angela Kane or something, she may have heard something like that before. Man is not fully dressed until he puts on his belt. That's what John T. McNeil, James Alton McNeil's father said. A man is not fully dressed. For $10, he said, Pastor, man, that's not the kind of talk that mayors talk. Mayors talk about, they're going to build houses, they're going to legislate this, that, and the other. That's all that maybe need to be talked about. But right now, we got a more serious problem. We got young boys who, if they don't pull up their pants, they're not going to be able to rent an apartment. They're not going to go in the bank. I don't know if y'all ever heard that song by Bob Dylan, 115th Street, 115th Dream, where he said, walked in the bank and asked the banker for a loan, and he asked me for some collateral, so I pulled down my pants. I don't know if y'all heard that. But if we don't teach these young men, we're creating problems 5, 6, 10, 15 years from now. The problem going to be worse. If we don't stop him now, if we don't build integrity in this young man now, who's got his pants down below his buttocks, if we don't build integrity in him now, he's going to be a worse problem. He's going to be homeless 10 years. We can at least stop the next crop of homelessness. The men we got on homelessness will not grow. If you'll give me $10, give it to me. Give me $100. Give me $1,000. Homelessness will not grow. Whether or not we can, and I will get rid of it as it stands right now, but we can stop it from growing. If we don't do something about these young men now, about their mental acuity, about their deranged way of thinking, they're disgraceful, despicable. You can't get a loan. You can't go to you can't buy a house. You can't rent an apartment with your pants down like that. You can't. So you're going to be homeless. We're creating more homelessness by allowing these young men to walk around with their pants down. We're creating more problems by walking around like these men. So we can stop it. At least homelessness won't grow. It'll die off after 10, 15 years, or five years actually, because there'll be no more young men entering into the streets of homelessness because we pulled up their pants, wiped off their mouths, and got their acts together. And the the women that wear the extra inhuman hair in their heads. Let me just back up for just a second. I told you that since I went out on the street, that my teaching has gotten a little, if you will, gone to another level. I told you that, right? I told you I used to pray long prayers, and then the Lord sent me in the closet. And now we have the open rewards prayer meeting for many, many years. I don't stand in the pulpit like I used to and pray and anoint and the devil here and telling the devil everything. The devil knew everything that's going on because I would tell him right there from the pulpit. All the devil had to do was just listen. All the devil had to do was come to church. He'd learn how to beat your butt by coming to church because I'd tell him everything. I told you that as a result of my going out on the street, I found the answer. I had to go to the root of the problem. I went to the root of the problem. I went to the homelessness. It wasn't just finding out having homeless people living in this building, which they do. It wasn't just that. I had to go out there where the homeless people live to come back with what I'm telling you now. I'm going to go back out there again. Not now, because I'm still tired from being out there. But I'm going back. I had to go out there. Please listen to Pastor Manning. I had to go out there to come back to tell you what I'm telling you now. And now that we're in a period of waiting, so wait on the Lord. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not get weary. They shall walk and faint not. Waiting on the Lord, after trusting in the Lord. Waiting on the Lord. So we can stop the growth of the prison population of Hamite young men. We can stop the growth of the homeless population. These are two populations that I'm very familiar with. We can stop both of those we can stop the growth of both of those. We can stop the growth of the homeless situation. We can stop the growth of the prison situation by having those young men pull up their pants. In fact, Mr. Engineer, we're gonna chime out with the song with Minister Honecker singing, right? So we can get the whole scope of what I've taken pictures of. And every time you see one of these homeless men nodding out on the street, etc., we can stop the growth of that, but I need your help. Will you give $10 to take a homeless man off the street? Will you give $10 so I can teach a young man how to pull up his pants? Will you give $10 for that? Will you give $100? Will you give $50? Back and forth. Will you give $70? Maybe some of y'all might like to give according to biblical numericals. So you'll give, you'll give $12 or you'll give $40. The Bible, you'll give $70 or you give $120 according to biblical numerical. Because the Bible does use numerical strength. There is a strength in numerical situation. But go to our website at Manning for Mayor, take out your debit card, take out your credit card, and I can take a homeless man off the street. Go to manningformayor.com and I can have these young boys pull their pants up. And once I get them to pull their pants up and tighten up their life, they will not end up in jail, they will not end up in prison, and they will not end up on the street. And that's where all this is coming from. That's why it's all coming from the behavior from years and years ago, and now it is festering in our faces that we didn't correct it. Politicians are too busy talking about the police and this and talking about white and black relations and this, that, and the other. They're too busy focusing on that rather than focusing on the problem right in front of their face, right under their noses, sleeping in their own homes. Politicians, the assemblymen, the council person, the senators, the congressmen, their own sons sleeping right there in their own homes with that madness going on. Send me down to City Hall. Give me $10. Give me $10. And the life you save may be your own. The child that you save might be your very own. But we can. I told you I'll cure homelessness in the next 100 days. And I believe this. I believe this, that I'll call a meeting of the homeless. I'll call a meeting I'll ask the city for the use of Met Stadium, Shea Stadium out in Flushing, Queens. No, maybe Yankee Stadium right here in New York City. I'll do it in Yankee Stadium, right? Y'all know Yankees, the Yankee baseball people. I'll ask for the rights to use the city. I'll call a convention of the homeless. And I'll stand there under the anointing of God in that Yankee Stadium, and I'll talk to all those homeless men. I'll talk to them about not having a key in their pocket. I'll talk to them about not having never bought a roll of toilet paper. And I'll ask the Lord God Almighty to send the spirit of deliverance and power upon Yankee Stadium meeting of just the homeless people. All New York City homeless come. All New York City homeless come and fill Yankee Stadium. Now, probably Yankee Stadium is not big enough to house all the homeless people. But I'll get as many packed in there as I can possibly get packed into that stadium. I'll do that when the first 100 days of my being the mayor of the city of New York. But I need you to give. I need you to give. I need you to go to Manning for mayor. I'll do that the first 100 days, and I'm there. That we'll have that meeting at Yankee Stadium. And going back to I know that a lot of people earn a lot of money by braiding hair. I know that. But I'll ask God to show them another industry. But we have to tell our young people that they're beautiful just the way God made them. They're beautiful just the way God made them. If God only gave you an inch of hair, that's what the Lord wanted you to have. You're beautiful. You are so, I'll tell all these young girls, you are so beautiful to me. Yes, you are. You are so beautiful, sweetheart. You're so beautiful. Oh, you're so beautiful. God made you. God made you, daughter. God made you beautiful, beautiful. I'll sing the song. Though I can't sing, I'll sing the song. Yes, I will. But I need you to send me to City Hall. I need you to take out your debit card, take out your credit card, your bank card, and send me down to City Hall. Now, I told y'all that since I came back out there in that street, this is what y'all getting. This is what you're going to get now. This is what you're going to get. I'm still the Lord's servant, but this is what you're going to get. I'm still the Lord's servant, but this is, listen. Now, don't forget, we're going to be having the Middle Passage Arch. We're going to have a special worship service this coming Saturday, the 14th of June at 11 o'clock in the morning, because we want to be able to set the stage for what we're going to do the following Saturday. So we're asking everybody to come, bring your friends, bring your relatives, bring your enemies to a very special worship service on this coming Saturday at 11 o'clock. We're going to be getting ready for the big day, the real big day, which will be June 14th, which we will have the Middle Passage Arch, if you will, town hall. So so tell everybody, tell all the students in the school, bring your parents. It's going to be a very special day. It's going to be a very special time in, if you will, in American history. When Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, well, there's something new going to be done, not new under the sun, but what we're going to do is going to be a very special time in American history. It's going to happen right here in Adler. And we need to get ready for it on the 7th of June at 11 o'clock in the morning. Be here by 10:45. It's going to be a great worship service. All right, so go to Manning for mayor and help me take these homeless men off the street and help pull these men's pants up. All right, everybody, I got to get out of here. Peace out. Welcome, everyone, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I am trusting in the Lord. What about you? To be happy with Jesus, you must trust and obey. Well, we've got a lot to do. I've got a real busy schedule. You know, I'm enjoying my life as a candidate for the mayor of the city of New York as a Lord's servant. With the scriptures, the verses of where Jesus talks about the sheep and the goats, about feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, clothing the naked, visiting the sick of the prisons. I'm really enjoying this. It's been an extraordinary time. And I pray that the journey has been an extraordinary journey for you as well. And some of the faithful members, you know, that have been with us for a long time, people like Deacon Miller and Eric Adams. Eric Adams, he's the mayor, former mayor, the crook, not Eric Miller. and Sister Kane and Minister Honaker and a bunch of Joseph Manning and just a bunch of other, Jesse Munoz, that you're following me, and I'm glad you followed me into this path. It's a brutal journey. There's no doubt about it. There was a major debate here in New York between the Democratic mayors contesting for mayor. I wasn't on that stage on last night. I will be on there once the general election heats up. But I'm enjoying this process, and there's some wonderful things that are happening, and I'm going to show you. I was out in Brooklyn on this past Monday, revisiting the site where I made the decision to leave the corporate world working for Procter & Gamble. And I wanted to help my brothers, as I stated before. Heroin was everywhere. Everybody was shooting up heroin. It was king, as some would say. And 50 years later, I find myself a pastor, and I'm going back to those places. And heroin and crack, and I'm going to have to have Elder Ramos talk to you all about the power of crack, but there's something else he wants to talk to you about as well. But what I want to do now, what this journey of seeking to be the mayor of the city of New York has led me to retrace my steps, perhaps, in a way that's meaningful. And I want to show you a clip that I was able to put together this past Monday of my talking about my father, Willie Martin Patterson. Now, he wasn't my biological father. My biological father was a man named Lawrence Manning. He and my mother divorced, and I was about the age of 3 years old, somewhere thereabouts, maybe 2 or 3 when they divorced. And Willie Martin Patterson married my mother at the time, and raised me until I was 18 years old, fed me, put a roof over my head, taught me the disciplines, and gave me many of the skills that I have now, the understanding that I have now, the principles and mores that I express now. He taught me those things. And I want to let you listen to a video where I talked about when I became 14, 15, 16 years old, I'm not sure which. I raised my hand to fight him. And he was very sick at the time. He had been in the jungles of Okinawa, in the South Pacific, in World War II. He had contracted some sort of a disease that was fatal. He could barely breathe. He was so sick, and I raised my hand to fight him when I was a young boy. But I'm going to let you listen to the video. I'll explain to you what happened, and then I'll be back. So don't go anywhere. Mr. Engineer, cue up that video, please. I'm here on Fulton Street and Nostrand Avenue. At one point, when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, for me, this was the crossroads of life. This was the Champs-Élysées. This was the main drag. This was the Fifth Avenue. This was my world. And I was living this way on St. James and Fulton. And I'd come to New York as a young boy, 18 years of age. But when I was approximately 15 or 16 years old, my father, now one would refer to him as my stepfather in as much as that he was not my biological father, but he was the man that raised me, took care of me, put a roof over my head, fed me, taught me, disciplined me. But when I reached 16, 17 years old, my aunts and some of my cousins and relatives were telling me, well, he's not your real father. You don't have to do what he says do. And so the more he would tell me the things to do, the more I would resist it. And finally, it came to the point where I actually put up my fist to fight him. Now, he was an older man. When he married my mother, he was 13 years older than her. He took me and my 2 sisters in as his children. Now, why is this important? It's important because this used to be a chock full of nuts. Now, those from the old school remember chock full of nuts, the heavenly coffee, chock full of nuts, better coffee a millionaire's money can't buy was their slogan. And they had a thing called nut bread. And so I invited my father, who at 18 years old, I realized that I had made a grave mistake by fighting him or seeking to fight him. He just walked away. He had
lung problems. He could barely walk 5 steps without stopping to breathe. And he was just in a bad shape. And I put up my fist to fight him. I think I said, Pastor, man, you tell all these stories. You've done some awful things. I have. No, I have. And I'm deeply regretful of the things that I did. And I can't begin to tell you how painful it is to have lived through that. But I had enough understanding. Once I got a few dollars in my pocket, I invited my father, Willie Martin Patterson, to come to New York. And when he came to New York, I brought him here to what was then chock full of nuts. There was a side entrance, just this entrance right here. I think there was 2 entrances. Yeah, there was a side entrance. I brought him here.
Yes, God bless you.
God bless you. I brought him here. We sat down, had some coffee and some pound cake, and I told him I was sorry. And I apologized. And he just looked at me and, you know, he called me brother. That's what he called me. He called me brother because I was named after my father, who my mother divorced, and he didn't want to call me my mother's former husband's name, so he just called me brother. He just looked at me, brother. And he got on the bus and went back to North Carolina, and he died. So I thought I would say that. I mean, Fulton Street, obviously, as I was up by Fulton and Schenectady earlier today, telling about my refusal to do drugs, my discipline to not do drugs. But I just remembered chock full of nuts was here 50 years ago. Across the street was Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I don't know what happened, why that store has not been reopened. It's a major corner store. It would appear that there'd be something going on there now. So this corner has a lot of history for me. If you can remember me, if we could just do a visual of an 18-year-old Manning. Try to think about me when I was 18 years old, how skinny I was, and how young I was at 18 years old, going into this place that was blessed as chock full of nuts. I think they still have a couple of chock full of nuts in Staten Island. You can look it up, Google it. It was a very famous, and they still sell chock full of nuts coffee. I thank God for the memories. I thank God that I had this experience up and down Nostrand and Fulton. So now I want to show you something, right? I sat here as an 18-year-old boy, skinny as a rail. This was my world. This was the world for me. This was the joint. I mean, this is where the people was. I was in New York City. But you know, I'm now running to be the mayor of this city, to take this city and to lead it. As an 18-year-old boy, I came here as an 18-year-old. And now I'm on track to actually become the mayor. Let me show you something here. This is one of the vehicles. When I took my father to chock full of nuts, I didn't have a car at the time. I used the subway or the bus. But now this is our church vehicle. This is my running for the mayor of New York City, but that's not all. Let me walk you down the street. Come on, follow me a little bit further, if you will. You come with me. 18 years old. If you can imagine me as an 18-year-old boy. This is our vehicle as well. The 18-year-old boy, that called his father from North Carolina to come has now started a school himself and graduating college-level students, graduating doctors and lawyers that, well, at least we got one doctor, but a number of people that have come through our church have become lawyers. So, as an 18-year-old skinny boy from North Carolina, my mind was, during those years, my mind was, I don't know where I was. But this is a very important and very powerful time for me. And it's important that I become the mayor of the city of New York, having come here as a migrant from North Carolina. So I wanted to be able to express that. Chock full of nuts is a heavenly coffee. Better coffee millionaires' money can't buy. Chock full of nuts is a heavenly coffee. Better coffee millionaires' money can't buy. Thank y'all for taking the time to listen to me. Thank you for taking the time to understand. I guess when you live as long as I do, you have a lot of history. And I consider it to be very rich. Can I just spiritualize my stepfather, Willie Patterson, walked this sidewalk. He's been dead now 45 years. My stepfather, the two of us, he was my father. The two of us, we walked in this area together, the two of us together. We occupied this space. He's long since gone, and I'm still here. I'm still here. God bless his memory. God bless his memory. Praise the Lord.
You know, I've done a lot of awful things in my life, mainly in my youth. I've done some good things, I'd like to think. One of the driving forces, if not beyond just loving Jesus and Jesus loving me, and my making the decision to serve him, is I try to correct all the things, and if I find a young man or a young woman or any person that is going wrong, like I went wrong, I raised my hand to fight my father. Thank God I had an opportunity to call him, to bring him up to New York and chock full of nuts, and he went back to North Carolina and immediately died. But if I find a young man going wrong, and if I find a person going wrong, I try to correct them because I know the pain. That's why I think it's so very important that I become the mayor of the city of New York, because it'll give me the opportunity to deal with young people in the New York City school system. I believe that I can correct a lot of the ills that are happening with our young people. I believe I can remove the metal detectors from our New York City school system. I believe that, and I'm going to run. I'm running on the campaign that I will remove the metal detectors, and there'll be no guns in our New York City school system when I tell people my story. Arrested for armed robbery myself with a sawed-off shotgun. I believe I can help. And I have helped to some degree. I wonder what you think about me. I wonder what you think about my life, and that's a part of my life. You probably heard me tell that, but not in a pictorial way and not in a personal way, on the actual geographical location where chock full of nuts used to be and where I was 50 years ago. 50 years ago, standing on that corner with and going into that store at the time, chock full of nuts. I believe that my experiences are valuable. I pray that you think the same thing about me. I pray that you think, and I know that many of you do, and I thank you for your prayers, and I thank you for your support. I do. But I'm adamant about correcting the wrongs. As I apologize to my father, Willie Patterson, and send me down to City Hall. Send me down to City Hall. And I'm going to do the righteous thing. I'm not going to make the mistakes that there are people that many of these politicians and otherwise. You send me to City Hall. I want to show you one other. Actually, it's a video. It's a song by a young man who was a heroin addict. He shot heroin for a number of years. I think he had tried out and made the New York Yankees, who's a good baseball player, made the New York Yankees, but his heroin, and his father didn't give him the kind of love that perhaps he thought he should have. And he found me on the radio and came and joined our church. And I was a father, though we were not that separate in age, but I was a father to him. You know, if you send me to City Hall, I'm going to let you see a song that he wrote, and we put some visuals to it. If you send me to City Hall, I'm going to help a lot of people. The people that are running for mayor right now, they can't help. There's very few people right now. I can help not only as the mayor of the city of New York, but I can help Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Dallas, Miami, Washington, D.C., Baltimore. If you'll send me to City Hall, now I'm gonna keep telling you about myself. I'm gonna keep telling you how bad I was, how awful I was, and how I regretted how Jesus saved me. I think you know that. But I think I'm gonna need you to send me to City Hall. I'm gonna need you. One of the things I'm gonna need you to do is to go to our website and donate. But I'll get to that. I want you to see another young man that came to this ministry. He was a heroin addict as well. He's long since deceased. But he wrote a song. We put some visuals to it. And the visuals, the track of my life. Now, I'm going to deal with Wall Street. I'm going to deal with billionaires. I'm going to deal with, the economic structure and system. But you put me in charge of the New York City school system. Will you do that? And we'll get rid of homelessness and hopelessness. You put me in charge of the New York City school system, I'll cut off the path to prisons. I'll cut off the path to failure. Put me in charge of that. Will you do that? Send me to City Hall. You're going to have to donate. That's what I need to have happen. You got to donate to the Manning for Mayor campaign. You got to go to that website and donate. But if you send me to City Hall, I'll cut off the path and give me the opportunity to be over the young people in New York City school system. Will you do that? Send me to City Hall. I'm going to talk to you more about that. Let me let you see this Pastor Bartolotta, who came to our church and former heroin addict. And here's a song he wrote about our ministry.
west side. River to river. Jesus, I hear you talking. Watch out. Ooh, take off those shoes. We're going barefoot walking. Barefoot walking. Got a new name. Said got a new name. Said got a new name. No man, no angel. Never heard this word before.
God has given us a name. The Lord has given us a destination. God has given us a land.
Watch out. Got a new name. Said got a new name. Said got a new name. Jesus, turn this city upside down. Step in on holy ground. No more junkies, no more hooker, no more murder, no more Harlem. Got a new name, said got a new name, said got a new name. No man, no angel, never heard this word before.
Goodbye, Harlem. Your history.
I'm going to ask you to send me to City Hall so I can be over the New York City school system. And I will cut off the pipeline to homelessness, to prisons, to brokenness, to fatherless. I will cut off that pipeline. I will cut off if you'll send me to City Hall. You've seen the work that I've done and the work I continue to do. And I was talking about waiting on the Lord. I tried to discover the fact that I did the awful things I did. My father, Willie Patterson, I was able to apologize to, and now I'm doing a memorial apology to him. It hurt his heart, I'm sure it did, when I raised my fist to fight him. Did I go through all of this so I can help countless millions of others? Did I? And I don't want to say that the Lord orchestrated that I should do that. I'm not saying that, God forbid. I don't know if he did. If he did, I don't know that he did. I'm not saying that he did. What I am saying is that had I not gone through those things, I would not be as passionate about truth and about righteousness. And I'm asking you to put me over all the students in the New York City school system at the age I was when I raised my hand against my father. They won't raise their hand against their father. At the age I went into crime and ended up in prison, they won't do it. I will cut off the pipeline. A man asked me the other day, he said, why you wait so long to do this? Why didn't man, you could have done this years ago? I didn't have the fire in the belly years ago to do this. That's one thing. I believe that it's the Lord's timing. I believe it's the Lord's timing. One of the other things I'm going to do is that the corruption in corporate, if you will, corporate businesses, the corporate industry, corporations, that is. I'm going to clean that up too. But the Lord has got me here now. I want to be in the right place at the right time. I want to do what Almighty God wants me to do. I'm trusting that you're going to send me down to City Hall. I'm trusting that you're going to do that. You're going to make a donation. You're going to go to Manning for Mayor and you can make a $10 donation. For a $10 donation for all those men you saw on the street. Can you believe that in modern day, this is after Obama. This is after having David Dinkins as the mayor, after having Obama as the president. And yet it prevails because those people born mainly with a silver spoon in their mouth, I'm going to ask you to send me to City Hall. Send me down to City Hall. Help me fight the great fight that needs to be. That put me in charge of the children of New York City and the school system. I'm a good man. I'm a good man. I am. I confess all the awful things I've done. No doubt about it. You know it. I haven't. I have not. Walked around thinking that perhaps somebody did me wrong and I was right for what I did. No, I was wrong. I was wrong. But I believe that that I can cut off the pipeline to the prisons of New York State. I can cut off the pipeline to the homeless shelters. I can cut that pipeline off. And then, of course, I said I'm going to my first one of the days of being a mayor. I'm going to call for a 3-day fast, and I'll do it myself. Jesus said that. What you saw on the street with these men jumping up and down and rolling over and sleeping on benches, and that kind of demon only goes out by fasting and prayer. You can get all the dollars from the federal government you want. You can get all the tax dollars and tax revenues that you can raise, but those devils only go out by fasting and prayer. And I'm going to, one would say, well, Mayor, why don't you do something about housing? Why don't you do something about the homelessness and one thing after the other? Mainly they're talking about doing something economically, but you can have all the money in the world. You can put those men you saw just a few moments ago in Pastor Bottle's song. You can put those men in a mansion. They're still going to jump up and down. They're still, you got to fast and pray, and that's going to be different. That a mayor would stand up and would fast and pray to cast out demons, because you can't cast those demons out of those men that you saw with money. Money won't do it. If money could buy those demons, if money could give the authority, and then the other thing is that there's some demons that are quieter, they're more polite. They sit at the heads of corporations, and some of those demons are in schools. And the other thing is that you put me in charge of the school system of New York by donating to my campaign. We're not going to have gender grooming in our New York City school system. No, we're not going to have it. Now, you want to be LGBTQ, that's your business. Go ahead and do what you want to do. But you're not going to tell you're not going to tell 4- and 5-year-olds that God gave them the wrong sex. You're not going to do that. Now, you're not with me. It ain't going to happen. So there are other demons around. There are demons, in corporate America. There's demons in banking, and there's demons. The landlord industry in New York City is full of demons. Now you listen to Pastor Manny very carefully. What you saw a few moments ago with those demons calling those young men to do the things that they've done. You can raise all the taxes. You can raise all the money. You can put those young men on a yacht. They'll jump off of it. You can put those men on a 150-foot yacht. They'll jump off, because money won't cure you. That's why it's important. Send me to City Hall. Send me down there. And the way you're going to do it, not only just what's most urgent right now is that you go to our website at manningformayor.com and donate. Just take out a $10. You got a bank card, you got a debit card, you got a credit card. Put $10. Go to Manning for Mayor and put $10 to send me to the City Hall and put me over the children put me over the school system. And I'm going to be making an announcement on Saturday about a whole lot of things. That I'm having a press conference on Saturday here at the Outlaw Word Missionary Church at the 11 o'clock worship service. You're invited to come. And I'm going to be making an announcement about a lot of things that I'm going to be doing in terms of the policies that I'm going to be doing. So it's important that you tell everybody, and you might want to drive in from Pennsylvania to be go up and down in Maryland or down in Washington, D.C. It'd be a good drive. It's going to be a nice summer day. You can drive up here, sit down in the sanctuary, and listen to me and, as I do my press campaign. But listen, the issue is here is that New York is the richest city on the planet, but it's got the poorest morality. Money don't solve. Well, while we're going to need money, we're going to do a whole lot of things with the tax structure. You're going to be everywhere you look. I'm going to be dealing with the tax structure. But what our children need, money can't buy. New York needs love and righteousness. What our children need, money can't buy. Money can't buy them the discipline that they need. Money can't buy them. Money can't buy them the parents that they need. What our young people need here in New York in the school system, put me in charge of the school system of New York. Will you do that? What our young people need, money can't buy. Money can't buy you two good parents. Money can't buy you a father that loves you, that goes out to work every day, comes home, clean hands, he's got clean hands, he's got a clean smile on his face, and he works hard. Money can't buy you that kind of a father. Did you know that? You can talk about money and privilege, and you can say, well, the absence of it can create problems. What New York needs is love and righteousness. Money can't buy you a father to make him love his wife. Money can't buy you a father to raise children the right way. Money can't buy that. Now, you can get all the money that you want. And money, these corporations, corporate greed needs to be done. I'm going to deal with all of that, but I think I need to start where I need to start with this homelessness. And I want you to put me in charge of the New York school system. Will you do that for me? You see my story about my father 50 years ago. I'm not saying that God that God caused that to happen. He let it happen, but I'm not saying he caused it, that God ordained that to happen, but he let it happen so I can know the pain of what it is to be a good son, and I can know the pain what it is to be a bad one. I'm not saying that God caused it to happen, but I am saying God let it happen. Put me in charge of the New York City school system. Put me in charge of it, and I'll tell you, we'll be able to take those money changers. We'll be able to get those metal detectors out of those schools. Put me in charge of it. You can go to our website. You can give $10. You can give $100. Every individual person can give up to $2,100. And by the way, you don't have to live in New York. You can live in Lansing, Michigan. You can live in Portland, Oregon. You can live in San Diego, California. You can live in Little Rock, Arkansas. You can live in Biloxi, Mississippi. You can live in Miami, Florida. Jacksonville. You can live in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you live in New York, you live in America, you can donate. And if you are a migrant or an immigrant, not a citizen, you can still donate. You got a bank card? Go to my website. Put me in charge of the school system. Put me in charge. Now, this is probably going to get some people, a little, but put me in charge of the ghettos. Now, I would prefer to use the term marginalized neighborhoods. I would prefer to do that. I would prefer to use the term poor neighborhoods. Put me in charge of the ghettos. Put me in charge of them. And I can cut off the pipeline. I can tell you that. Put me in charge of the school system. Put me in charge. By the way, the president's, Mr. Engineer, I think we have a picture of our students that we would, look how beautiful our students are. I can do this. I do this on a small scale, not a small scale, but I do this at our church. Look at that, how beautiful they are. Ain't that beautiful? I can do that across the board. I can change the ghettos. Put me in charge of the ghettos of New York City. All right? Send me to City Hall. Put me in charge of the ghettos. Mike Bloomberg had no business being in charge of the ghettos. Bill de Blasio, David Dinkins, Eric Adams, none of them knew what to do with the ghettos. None of them. Put me in charge of the ghettos. Make me the mayor of New York City ghettos by making me the mayor of New York City. And I can raise up beautiful children. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a beautiful sight? That's the work of my hands, along with some great staff people that work along with me. Great staff people that work along with me. So put me in charge. Put me in charge of the ghettos. Put me in charge of the New York City school system. We'll get rid of the metal detectors. 1 year after I've been mayor, there'll be no more metal detectors. Children can go to school without fear of guns. Put me in charge. Now, the other thing is that, so Manning for mayor, let me show them the yellow banner of Manning for mayor. So you put me in charge of the New York City school system, and young boys won't want to carry guns to school, or knives, or weapons. They won't want to do that. They'll have something else on their mind. They'll say, well, our principal went to prison. Our mayor, rather. And I'll sit and I'll talk with the young men. I'll spend time with them. I'll spend time with the young women. I will. So today is a very special broadcast day. I'm asking you to put me in charge of the New York City school system. I'm waiting on the Lord, and this is the time that He's chosen. Those memories on Fulton Street this past Monday were precious, remembering my stepfather, Willie Patterson. But go to manningformayor.com. Go to manningformayor.com and donate. You can start with $10. Everybody's got $10. Start with $10. And you can give $20 if you want. You can $40 if you like. $70. There's some numbers that the Lord uses often. God uses the number 40 and 70 and 120. God uses those numbers. 33. You can give $33. Let's say you give $33, right? Say, well, here's $33 to put Manning in charge of the New York City school system. Imagine that. That's a good bang. That's a good bang for your buck. You know that? For $33, you can put me in charge of the New York City school system. For $33, now that you can't get no better than that. So because right now I have the will, I have the talent, the strength, I have the anointing of God to be the best mayor New York City has ever seen, to be the best mayor America has ever seen. I have the anointing. What I don't have is your support. What I don't have is your support. Talking about getting a bang for your buck, you can give $10. I said that before, sure. What about 12? 12 is a good number. 12 disciples, right? 12 disciples. You can give $12 right now. You can, and you got that right on your bank card. Give $12 right now, and it'll send me to. But I have the ability, the faithfulness, I have the experience, the anointing of God to be in charge of the New York City public school system and be in charge of cleaning up the streets of New York. I will mop the streets of New York spick and span clean. The homelessness, we're going to cut that off. You can give $33. Go to Manning for mayor and give $33. And that's a good bang for your buck. You can't lose. You can't lose. You go to Manning for mayor and you give $10 or $12. Let's move to $12, right? Because 12 is a number that Jesus uses, right? The Bible uses. So let's use $12, right? Or you use $33. Or you can give $40. 40 days, it rained 40 days and 40 nights. Moses was in the wilderness for 40 years, and Jesus was was tempted by the devil out in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. So you can use 40 or you can use 70, 70. You've heard that in the book of Psalms. Or you can use 120 if you like. But you can put me in charge of the New York City school system. I've proven for the past 30 years that I can educate doctors, lawyers. I can educate people with graduate degrees and from the best universities in New York City. I can get them accepted with major scholarships. We just got a young group of people graduating this month that got $140 scholarships. I can educate. I have proven that I can raise up students that can get a full 4-year scholarship to Yale University. I can do that. I've done that. I got that in my that's my record. I've done that. You give $33, give $12, give $33, give $40, give $70. Send me downtown. Send me to City Hall. That's a good bang for your buck. I have proven that, and the other thing is that I can fight the system. I've proven I can fight the system. You know, I've been in the court battles. I've proven that I can fight bureaucracy. I've proven I can stand up against the powers, the corporate greed. I can stand up against the system. I've proven that I can do that, and you know that I have. I can and I have. So send me to City Hall. I have all the willpower, the gifts, the anointing, the love, the skills, the record, the history, the experience. All I need is your $33 or your $12 or your $100. You can give as much as $2,100 as an individual. It doesn't matter where you live. If you live in America, you can give. Doesn't matter what city, what town, what party you belong to. Go to the website at manningformayor.com. Go to manningformayor.com and give. I've got everything else except you. I've got everything else, and you know me. You know me. I got everything I need except you. You know me. You know who I am. And so I'm asking you to send me to City Hall. Don't you think if you send for $33 or whatever you're going to do, I don't know, maybe you want to do $70. Maybe you want to do the whole $2,100 right now. I don't know. I think that's what Minister Holnaker did. I think he did that, if I'm not mistaken. I think Minister Holnaker, I think that he gave the whole thing. I'll have to find out. Just make sure I'm not speaking something that's not correct. But we're going to have a meeting here on Saturday where I'm going to be revealing my policies. I've had some policies, $27 minimum wage, no taxes on bodegas, no taxes on any food sales, you don't have to pay taxes to eat, and some other things that we're going to be doing as well. But I'm going to be unveiling more policies. But for whatever you give, and maybe you can send me to City Hall. You know I'm the best man for the city of New York. You know I'm the best man for the students, for the schools, for the jails, for the banks, for the economy. You know I'm the best man. You send me to City Hall. We're going to cut off this pipeline of these young people ending up in homeless shelters. You can do that. You're talking about getting a good bang for your buck. Talking about getting a good bang for your buck. Go to Manning for mayor. Doesn't matter where you live. And you can get So I want to invite everybody to show up on this coming Saturday at 11 o'clock because we're going to be talking about the Middle Passage arch that we're going to be erecting once I become the mayor. It's going to be the world is going to be a great place. And you've known me. Some of y'all have known me for a goodly number of years. Many of you. You know that I'm going to do a good job. All you got to do is go to Manning for Mayor right now and start donating. And don't stop donating until you reach that $2,100. You know that. You know me. You know I need to be the mayor of the ghettos. The ghetto needs me. You know that. You know the ghettos need me. Maybe you live in a nice neighborhood and everything, but you still are affected by the ghettos, the people that live there. You see? So go to Manning for mayor and send me to City Hall. All right? I'm gonna let you hear my testimony about my father again, and the testimony of Pastor Bartolotta, new name. But can I ask you, let's touch and agree right now. Let's touch and agree. Jesus, while I am not boasting, I'm just bragging on you. There's nobody better qualified to be over the students, the children, and the schools of New York City than me, because I've got you. And there's nobody better to be over the young men going astray. There's nobody better. I went out on the street and I slept with the homeless for 3 days. I'm the best man. All I need. I have the qualifications. I have the talents. I have the abilities. I have the education. I have the passion. All I need is for the people that are, every person listening to me to go to our website at Manning for Mayor and make a donation. I have the talents. And Jesus, speak into their ears and let them know that so many children will be helped by my wisdom, by my love, and also by the many mistakes I've made. Children will all over the city of New York will be helped by the mistakes I've made. Go to Manning for Mayor. Praise God. Go to Manning for Mayor. Go now and make that donation.